Hello guys, welcome to Fictional Vortex. So in this video, we will see what if Naruto was the primordial dragon emperor of DxD Naruto x Akeno x Grayfia. If you enjoy these kinds of stories, don't forget to show us some love by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Your support means the world to us. Now, let's start the story. Chapter 1, Awakening scales the dimensional tier ripped through reality with a sound like shattering glass. Naruto tumbled through it, his body wreathed in fading golden chakra as he crashed into unfamiliar ground, creating a small crater in what appeared to be a public park. What the hell? Naruto groaned, pushing himself up and dusting off his tattered battle gear. The last thing he remembered was sealing Kaguya with Sasuke, then a strange pulling sensation as chakra, not his own, not Kurama's, but something deeper, surged through his body. Kurama stirred within him. Kid, something's wrong. This isn't our world. Naruto scanned his surroundings. The park looked normal enough, but everything felt different. The air tasted strange. The ambient energy wasn't chakra but something else entirely. Yeah, I figured that out, Naruto muttered, climbing out of the crater. Any idea where we are? Or how to get back? No, but I sense something familiar about this place. Like a memory from before my creation. Before Naruto could question the fox further, he sensed movement. Fast movement. Instinctively, he jumped backward as something crashed into the spot where he'd been standing. My, came a silky voice. What an interesting energy signature you have. The dust cleared to reveal a man with 12 jet black wings spread behind him. He wore traditional Japanese clothes and had a relaxed posture that contradicted the crater his landing had created. Who the hell are you? Naruto dropped into a fighting stance, kunai materializing in his hand. The winged man raised an eyebrow. I'm Azazel, leader of the fallen angels. And you, my interesting friend, are radiating energy unlike anything I've felt in, well, millennia. Naruto kept his guard up. Look, I don't know what a fallen angel is, but I just need to figure out how to get back to my world. Your world. Azazel's interest visibly increased. An otherworlder, then. That explains some things, but not. He paused, studying Naruto more intently. There's something else about you. Something ancient. A pulse of pain shot through Naruto's head, bringing with it a flash of images. Vast wings spanning the cosmos, stars being born in the wake of massive claws, reality itself bending around a primordial form. Kid! Your energy is fluctuating. Kurama's voice snapped Naruto back to reality. Azazel had taken a step back, his casual demeanor replaced by wariness. Well now, that was unexpected. Your power just resonated with, never mind. Perhaps we should continue this conversation somewhere less public. Naruto hesitated. He didn't trust this Azazel character, but he needed information. Fine. But try anything and, yes, you'll unleash that impressive power you're barely containing. Azazel waved dismissively. I'm a researcher at heart. You're far more valuable to me as a study subject than an enemy. Before Naruto could respond, he sensed another presence, multiple presences. A flash of lightning struck the ground between him and Azazel. Governor General, came a female voice, both respectful and cautious. The barrier team detected a dimensional anomaly. I see you found the cause. Naruto turned to face the newcomer and felt his breath catch. A beautiful young woman with long black hair tied in a ponytail stood there. She wore what looked like a school uniform, but the crackling electricity around her hand suggested she was far more than a normal student. Ah, Akeno. Perfect timing. Azazel gestured toward Naruto. Our visitor here seems to be from another world entirely. And he's carrying something interesting within him. The girl named Akeno studied Naruto with violet eyes that seemed to pierce through him. I can sense it too. It feels like dragon energy, but different. Older. Another pulse of pain hit Naruto, stronger this time. He clutched his head as more visions flashed, a cosmic egg hatching, the birth of multiple dimensions, the creation of beings that would later be called gods. Naruto. Your chakra is changing. Kurama sounded genuinely alarmed. Naruto looked down at his hands to see faint, scale-like patterns rippling beneath his skin. They glowed with golden light before fading away. Fascinating, Azazel murmured. Akeno, contact Surzex. Tell him we may have found the source of those ancient energy readings. And tell him. Azazel paused, his expression becoming serious. Tell him the old prophecies might be coming true. Akeno's eyes widened, but she nodded and stepped away, producing a small magic circle to communicate. What prophecies? Naruto demanded, the pain subsiding. Look, I'm just trying to get home. I don't know what's happening to me, but, I think you do, Azazel interrupted. Or at least, part of you does. He pointed to Naruto's stomach, where the seal containing Kurama was located. That entity within you, it's not what's causing the reaction. It's something deeper. Something that was there first. Naruto frowned. That's impossible. Kurama's been with me since birth. Kurama? Azazel raised an eyebrow. Interesting name. But I'm not talking about your tenant. I'm talking about what you are. Or rather, what you were before you were human. Before Naruto could process this cryptic statement, Akeno returned. Surzex will meet us at the old temple outside town. He's bringing Grayfia. Azazel nodded. Good. Our friend here will need all the information we can provide. He turned to Naruto. I promise you'll get answers, but we need to move quickly. Your arrival has likely attracted attention from those who monitor dimensional disturbances. Naruto looked between them, weighing his options. Kurama had gone unnervingly quiet, as if trying to process something. Fine, Naruto finally said. But straight answers. No cryptic bullshit. Azazel laughed. I make no promises there. The truth of what you are might be too vast for simple explanations. Try me, Naruto challenged, falling into step beside them as they left the crater behind. I've already fought a goddess and saved my world. Not much can surprise me anymore. Akeno gave him a sidelong glance, a small smile playing on her lips. You might want to reserve judgment on that until after you meet Surzex. The journey to the temple gave Naruto a glimpse of this new world. It looked much like his own in some ways, the technology seemed more advanced, but people went about their lives oblivious to the supernatural elements around them. Azazel explained the basics as they traveled, devils, angels, fallen angels, and the uneasy peace between factions. So you're all just, living among humans? Naruto asked, incredulous. And they don't notice? Most humans can't perceive supernatural energy, Akeno explained. Their minds filter it out. Those who can see are usually born with sacred gears or have spiritual potential. Sacred what now? Artifacts created by the biblical God, Azazel said. Powerful tools sealed within humans. But you're something different altogether. They arrived at an ancient Shinto temple nestled in forested hills outside the city. Naruto immediately sensed powerful barriers surrounding the place, not unlike the chakra barriers used in Konoha, but constructed differently. They're here, Akeno said, looking toward the temple entrance. Two figures emerged from the shadows. The first was a handsome man with crimson hair dressed in ornate clothing that screamed nobility. Beside him stood a woman with silver hair and a maid outfit that somehow made her look regal rather than subservient. Her eyes were sharp, calculating, and fixed firmly on Naruto. The moment their gazes met, several things happened simultaneously. The silver-haired woman gasped, her composure cracking momentarily. Inside Naruto, Kurama roared in surprise. And most alarmingly, pain erupted across Naruto's body as golden scales briefly manifested across his skin before disappearing again. Kid. Kurama sounded shaken. I remember now. I know what this feeling is. Grayfia? The red-haired man, presumably Surzex, looked at his companion with concern. The woman named Grayfia had regained her composure, but her eyes remained wide. Surzex-sama, the Lucifuge family legends were true. The primordial one has returned. Surzex turned his attention to Naruto, his gaze intense. So you're the dimensional anomaly. Tell me, do you know what you are? Naruto straightened, meeting the devil's gaze without flinching. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I'm a ninja from Konohagakure, Jinchuriki of the Nine-Tailed Fox, and right now, I'm a guy who's tired of cryptic comments about prophecies and primordial whatevers. To his surprise, Surzex laughed. Direct. I like that. His expression grew serious again. But Grayfia doesn't make such claims lightly. The Lucifuge family has passed down stories for generations about their original purpose, servants not to Lucifer, but to something that came before. Naruto felt Kurama's agitation growing. Kurama seems to know something about this. He recognized something when I saw her. He gestured toward Grayfia. The nine-tailed fox, Azazel mused. One of the bijou from your world, I assume. Fascinating that it would recognize the connection. Grayfia approached, her movements graceful but cautious. May I? She asked, extending a hand toward Naruto. Naruto hesitated, then nodded. Grayfia placed her palm against his chest, and immediately a complex magic circle appeared between them, glowing with golden light. Ancient symbols that neither belonged to devil script nor any language Naruto recognized swirled within it. The mark of the first, Grayfia whispered, something like reverence in her voice. The Lucifuge bloodline oath responds to you. Can someone please explain what's happening? Naruto demanded. Surzex nodded. Let's go inside. This conversation requires context and privacy. Inside the temple, they gathered around an ancient table. Akeno prepared tea while Surzex and Azazel exchanged meaningful glances. Before the three factions, Surzex began, before even Great Red and Ophis, there was the primordial dragon emperor, the first conscious entity in existence. It shaped reality, created the dimensional gaps, and established the fundamental laws of magic and energy. Your chakra, Azazel continued, is actually a diluted form of the primal energy the Dragon Emperor wielded. In your world, it evolved differently, became accessible to humans through whatever historical events shaped your dimension. Naruto frowned. You're saying I'm, what? The reincarnation of some cosmic dragon god? Not exactly, Grayfia said, her voice softer than before. The primordial dragon emperor wasn't destroyed, it fragmented itself intentionally, seeding its essence across multiple dimensions to maintain balance. The prophecies speak of a time when those fragments would reconverge in a vessel capable of containing such power. A human vessel, Akeno added, setting tea in front of Naruto. One who already contained a fragment of primal power, like your nine-tailed fox. Naruto's head was spinning. This is crazy. I'm just Naruto. Are you? Azazel challenged. You mentioned fighting a goddess. Hosting a powerful entity since birth. Those aren't exactly normal human experiences. The dimensional tear that brought you here, Surzex said. It wasn't random. Something called you to this world, the place where the Dragon Emperor first established the boundaries between realities. Naruto was about to argue further when another pain struck him, worse than before. He doubled over, groaning as his skin began to glow. It's happening faster than it should, Grayfia observed with alarm. Something's accelerating the awakening. Through gritted teeth, Naruto managed to speak. Kurama, what's happening? I'm trying to suppress it, kid, but it's too powerful, the fox replied. These memories, they're older than my own creation. The Sage of Six Paths, the Ten Tails, they were all connected to this. The pain peaked, and Naruto's consciousness expanded. For a brief moment, he perceived reality from multiple angles simultaneously, saw the interconnected dimensions, felt the flow of energy between worlds, recognized patterns in existence that human minds weren't meant to comprehend. Then it subsided, leaving him gasping and disoriented. Incredible, Azazel murmured, studying Naruto with unabashed fascination. The transformation has already begun, yet he's maintaining his human consciousness. Akeno placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder, steadying him. Her touch carried a gentle current of electricity that somehow helped ground him. "Are you okay?" "Been better," Naruto admitted, giving her a weak smile. "Thanks." He looked up to find Grayfia staring at him with an intensity that was almost uncomfortable. When their eyes met, she quickly looked away, composing herself. "The Lucifuge family were originally dragon priests," she explained. "We served as conduits and interpreters for the Dragon Emperor's will. That connection persists in our bloodline, which is why I react to your presence." "Fascinating as this history lesson is," Naruto said, straightening, "it doesn't explain why I'm here now, or what I'm supposed to do about these changes." Surzex exchanged a glance with Azazel. "There have been disturbances recently. Fluctuations in the barriers between dimensions. Ancient seals weakening. We believed it might be Ophis or Great Red causing trouble, but now. Now you think it's related to me," Naruto finished. "Not just related," Azazel corrected. "Centered on you. Something has triggered the Dragon Emperor's awakening prematurely, and I doubt it's benevolent." Before anyone could elaborate, the temple barriers flared with warning energy. Surzex was on his feet instantly, power radiating from him. "We have company," he said grimly. Multiple high-class signatures approaching rapidly. Azazel cursed. "They found us faster than I expected. The energy released during your episode must have been detected." "Who found us?" Naruto asked, already moving toward the door. Whatever was happening to him, he wasn't going to hide while others fought. "Could be anyone," Azazel replied. "Devils who fear the prophecies, fallen angels who want to harness your power, or something worse." They rushed outside to see the evening sky darkening unnaturally. 15 figures descended, their wings marking them as fallen angels. At their center floated a man in ornate armor, his 6 wings spread wide. "Kokobile," Azazel growled. "I might have known." The armored fallen angel smiled coldly. "Governor General. Lord Lucifer. How gracious of you to locate the anomaly for us." His gaze fixed on Naruto. "So this is the vessel. Hardly impressive." "Kokobile," Azazel warned, "you're violating our truce. Whatever you're planning, is none of your concern anymore, old friend." Kokobile raised a hand, and light spears formed around him. "The Grigori Council has voted. The Primordial Dragon Emperor cannot be allowed to fully manifest. The risk is too great." "You fool," Surzex said, power crackling around him. "You have no idea what you're interfering with." Naruto stepped forward. "Hey, Wings. I don't know what your problem is, but I've had a really weird day, and I'm not in the mood for a fight. Back off while you still can." Kokobile laughed. "It speaks with such confidence. Tell me, Vessel, do you even know how to access the power sleeping within you?" "No." His smile widened. "Then this will be simple." He launched the light spears simultaneously. Naruto didn't move, instead, he formed a familiar hand sign. Multi-shadow clone jutsu. 50 Narutos popped into existence, intercepting the spears with kunai, Rasengan, and sheer determination. The original Naruto used the distraction to assess the situation. Surzex and Azazel were engaging the higher-ranking fallen angels, while Akeno had taken to the air, lightning crackling between her hands as she targeted enemies from above. Grayfia stood calmly in the center of the chaos, a complex array of magic circles surrounding her as she systematically froze fallen angels who got too close. "Kid, use my chakra," Kurama urged. Whatever this dragon power is, it's still unstable. Right. Naruto tapped into the Ninetales power, golden chakra enveloping him as he entered his initial Jinchuriki form. Kokobeel's eyes widened. Interesting. That energy, it's similar to dragon power, yet distinct. Like it? Naruto grinned, forming a Rasengan in each hand. Let me introduce you properly. He launched himself at Kokobeel with blinding speed. The fallen angel barely managed to create a light shield before Naruto slammed into it with twin Rasengans. The shield shattered, and Kokobeel was thrown backward, his armor cracking. Impossible. Kokobeel snarled. No human should be this strong. Good thing I'm apparently not just human, Naruto shot back, following up with a barrage of attacks that drove Kokobeel further into the sky. Below, the battle raged. Akeno moved with surprising grace, her lightning devastating against the fallen angels. When one got too close, she switched to hand-to-hand combat with practiced ease before blasting them point-blank with electricity. Naruto found himself impressed by her combat prowess. She moved with the confidence of someone who had trained extensively, yet there was something playful in her fighting style. His momentary distraction cost him. Kokobeel appeared behind him, a massive light spear piercing through Naruto's shoulder. First blood to me, Vessel, Kokobeel hissed. Pain shot through Naruto, but something else came with it, rage. Not his own, not even Kurama's, but something deeper and more ancient. His vision tinged with gold, and the pain in his shoulder transformed into heat that spread throughout his body. Naruto! Kurama shouted in alarm. Something's happening. The light spear in his shoulder dissolved as golden scales erupted across Naruto's skin. The wound closed instantly, and Naruto felt power surging through him, raw, primal power that made even Kurama's chakra seem tame by comparison. What is this? Kokobeel backed away, genuine fear replacing his arrogance. Below, the fighting paused as everyone felt the surge of energy. Grayfia looked up, her eyes wide. The first awakening, she whispered. Naruto's consciousness expanded again, but this time he maintained control. Knowledge flowed into him, not complete, but fragments of understanding about what he was becoming. With instincts he didn't know he possessed, he raised his hand toward Kokobeel. Leave, Naruto commanded, his voice resonating with harmonic overtones. This is your only warning. Kokobeel's fear gave way to desperate determination. Kill him, he shouted to his followers. Kill him now, before he fully awakens. The remaining fallen angels launched a coordinated attack, light spears converging on Naruto from all directions. Time seemed to slow for Naruto. He saw each attack coming, understood the patterns of energy that composed them. Without conscious thought, he wove his hand through the air, leaving trails of golden light. Where his fingers passed, reality itself seemed to bend slightly. The light spears froze mid-flight, then dissolved into particles of light that scattered harmlessly. How? Kokobeel's voice shook. Naruto didn't respond with words. Instead, he raised both hands and clapped them together. The sound reverberated unnaturally, amplifying until it became a physical wave that slammed into the fallen angels, sending them tumbling through the air. Kokobeel alone managed to maintain his position, creating a powerful barrier around himself. This changes nothing, he shouted, though his voice lacked conviction. The Grigori won't allow the Dragon Emperor to return. Naruto floated toward him, golden scales now covering most of his body. His eyes had changed too, still blue, but with vertical pupils that gleamed with inner light. I don't want to hurt you, Naruto said, his voice still carrying those strange harmonics. But I will defend myself and my friends. Back off. For a tense moment, it seemed Kokobeel might continue fighting. Then Azazel appeared beside him, gripping his shoulder. Enough, Kokobeel. The council did not authorize this attack, you acted on your own. Leave now, while you still can. Kokobeel jerked away from Azazel's grip, his face contorted with rage and fear. "This isn't over," he snarled, before turning and fleeing with his remaining followers. As the threat receded, Naruto felt the strange power begin to ebb. The scales receded, and fatigue crashed over him like a wave. He began to fall. Before he could drop more than a few feet, he felt someone catch him. Looking up, he saw Akeno, her wings spread wide as she gently lowered them both to the ground. "That was quite a display," she said, a mix of awe and amusement in her voice. "For someone who doesn't know what he is, you certainly made an impression." "Thanks for the catch," Naruto managed, his legs buckling as they touched down. Akeno supported him, one arm around his waist. Surzex and Azazel approached, both looking at Naruto with new assessment in their eyes. "Well," Azazel said dryly, "that answers some questions and raises about 1,000 more." Grayfia stepped forward, her usual composure restored. "He needs rest. The first awakening drains considerable energy, even from one born to wield it." Surzex nodded. "We'll take him to Koa Academy. The old school building has strong barriers, and Rias can help keep watch." "Rias?" Naruto asked, fighting to stay conscious. "My sister," Surzex explained. "A devil like me, though younger. She oversees this territory with her peerage." "Great," Naruto muttered. "More new people to explain this mess to." Akeno chuckled beside him. "Don't worry. We specialize in unusual circumstances." As they prepared to leave, Naruto felt Kurama stirring within him. "Kid," the fox said, sounding uncharacteristically thoughtful. "I think I understand now. The Sage of Six Paths, the chakra fruit, the 10 tails, they were all connected to this Dragon Emperor power. It's like the chakra in our world was a diluted version of what you just used. Does that help us get home?" Naruto asked mentally. "Maybe. But I'm not sure home is as simple as it used to be. These dimensions, they're all connected. And we, seem to be at the center of those connections." Before Naruto could question the fox further, exhaustion claimed him, and he slumped against Akeno, consciousness fading. He awoke in an unfamiliar room that looked like a cross between an old-fashioned study and a club room. Elegant furniture, bookshelves, and a few modern amenities like a coffee maker created an eclectic atmosphere. Finally awake, came a female voice. Naruto turned to see Akeno sitting nearby, a cup of tea in her hands. She'd changed from her school uniform into more casual clothes, a simple blouse and skirt that somehow made her look even more striking. "How long was I out?" Naruto asked, sitting up. He was surprised to find himself dressed in clean clothes, jeans and a t-shirt that fit surprisingly well. "About 12 hours, Akeno replied. "Your recovery rate is impressive." Azazel said a normal being would have been unconscious for days after channeling that much primal energy. Naruto took stock of his condition. He felt different. Stronger, somehow, yet also more aware of his limitations. Kurama's presence was still there, but intertwined with something else now, a power that seemed to resonate with the very fabric of reality around him. "Where is everyone?" he asked, accepting the cup of tea Akeno offered. Surzex returned to the underworld to consult ancient records. "Azazel is investigating how Kokabeel learned of your arrival so quickly." She paused. Grayfia stayed. "She's currently reinforcing the barriers around the academy." Something in Akeno's tone when she mentioned Grayfia caught Naruto's attention. "You don't like her?" Akeno smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. "Grayfia Lucifuge is the strongest queen in Devil Society and wife to one of the 4 great Satans. There's nothing to dislike, she's practically perfect." "But?" Naruto prompted. "But nothing," Akeno sipped her tea. "She's just intense. Especially about you." "About me?" "You didn't see her after you collapsed. She was protective. Insisted on specific arrangements for your recovery, cited ancient lucifuge protocols. It was quite unlike her usual professional demeanor. Before Naruto could pursue this interesting information, the door opened, and Grayfia herself entered. She carried a tray with food that she set down near Naruto. "You should eat," she said, her tone formal yet somehow gentle. "Your body needs sustenance after the awakening." "Thanks." Naruto studied her openly. Up close, Grayfia was even more beautiful, porcelain skin, piercing silver-gray eyes, and an aura of refined power that reminded him oddly of Tsunade at her most composed. "How are you feeling?" Grayfia asked, maintaining a polite distance. "Weird," Naruto admitted. "Like I've got new muscles I don't know how to use yet. And memories that aren't really memories, more like impressions." Grayfia nodded. "The first awakening is only the beginning. The Dragon Emperor's consciousness will integrate gradually with your own." "And if I don't want it to?" Naruto challenged. Something flickered in Grayfia's eyes, surprise, perhaps, or approval. "Then you fight for dominance, as I suspect you've done before with your nine-tailed fox. But understand that this power is not separate from you in the same way. It is you, a you that existed before your human incarnation." "Great. More complicated identity issues. Just what I needed." To his surprise, a small smile curved Grayfia's lips. "You take this remarkably well. Most would be overwhelmed." Naruto shrugged. "After everything I've been through, you learn to roll with the punches. So what happens now?" Akeno leaned forward. "Now we prepare. Kokobeel's attack was just the beginning. Once word spreads about the Dragon Emperor's return, every faction will have an opinion, and many will see you as either a threat to eliminate or a power to control. The academy is secure for now," Grayfia added. "Surzex has assigned additional guards, and the student council president, a devil named Sona Citri, has pledged her peerage's support." "How many devils are at this school?" Naruto asked incredulously. "More than you'd think," Akeno replied with a smile. "It's a bit of a supernatural hotspot." "Lucky me," Naruto muttered, then brightened. "So, any chance you guys have ramen in this world?" The non-sequitur surprised both women, though Akeno recovered first with a laugh. "Yes, we have ramen." "Is that your favorite food?" "The food of the gods," Naruto confirmed seriously. "If I'm stuck here for a while, I'm going to need ramen." "I'll arrange it," Grayfia said, and Naruto could swear he saw amusement in her eyes before she turned to leave. At the door, she paused. "There will be a meeting this evening. Surzex is bringing documents from the underworld archives that may explain more about your situation." After she left, Naruto turned to Akeno. "So, while we're waiting, tell me about yourself. How does a girl end up throwing lightning at fallen angels?" Akeno's smile turned slightly bitter. "That's a long story." "I've got time," Naruto said, genuinely interested. Something about Akeno reminded him of his friends back home, a strength born from overcoming pain. Akeno studied him for a moment, then nodded. "I'm half-fallen angel myself. My father is Barakiel, one of the leaders of the Grigori under Azazel." Naruto blinked. "Wait, so those guys we fought yesterday are like, your relatives?" "In a manner of speaking," Akeno admitted. "Though Kokobeel and my father have never seen eye to eye. My mother was human, a priestess from a traditional Japanese family." "Was?" Naruto caught the past tense. Akeno's expression darkened. "She was killed by her own family for the sin of loving a fallen angel and bearing his child. I survived only because my father arrived in time to save me, too late for her." "I'm sorry," Naruto said softly. "That's horrible." "It was a long time ago," Akeno said, though her eyes suggested the wound was still fresh. "After that, I wandered until Rias found me and offered me a place in her peerage as her queen." "Peerage?" "Devils can reincarnate other beings into devils using special pieces, modeled after chess." I'm Ryusa's queen, her second-in-command and strongest piece. Naruto nodded slowly, processing this. So you're part fallen angel, part devil now? That's quite a mix. To his surprise, Akeno tensed slightly. Yes. Though I've rejected my fallen angel side. I use my devil powers exclusively. Naruto tilted his head, studying her. Why? It's part of who you are, isn't it? A part I'd rather forget, Akeno said sharply, then softened. I'm sorry. It's complicated. Hey, I get complicated, Naruto said with a gentle smile. I've got a demon fox inside me that tried to destroy my village when I was born. Talk about family baggage. This unexpected comparison startled a laugh out of Akeno. When you put it that way. She shook her head, amusement dancing in her eyes. You're not what I expected, Naruto Uzumaki. Never am, he agreed cheerfully. So, any chance you could show me around this place? If I'm going to be staying here, I should probably know the layout. Akeno rose gracefully. I'd be happy to. And perhaps introduce you to some of the others who'll be helping protect you. Protect me? Naruto grinned. Did you miss the part yesterday where I handled those fallen angels? Handled them using power you barely understand and that left you unconscious for 12 hours, Akeno pointed out with a raised eyebrow. Details, Naruto waved dismissively, though he acknowledged the point. Alright, lead the way. The tour of Koho Academy gave Naruto a better sense of his new surroundings. The school was spacious and elegant, having once been an all-girls academy before recently going co-ed. More importantly, it was riddled with magical defenses and detection systems that would alert its devil occupants to any supernatural threats. And this, Akeno said, leading him into another building, is the Occult Research Club, Ryusa's base of operations and where you'll be staying for now. The club room was spacious and gothic in design, with velvet couches, ornate woodwork, and strangely, a shower in one corner behind a curtain. Don't ask about the shower, Akeno said, noting his gaze. Ryus has specific habits. As if summoned by her name, the door opened to reveal a beautiful young woman with flowing crimson hair. Behind her came several others, a petite white-haired girl, a handsome blonde boy, and a taller young man with short brown hair. So this is our dimensional visitor, the redhead said, approaching with confidence. I'm Ryus Gremory, president of the Occult Research Club and master of this territory. Naruto Uzumaki, he replied, sensing the power within her. It wasn't as overwhelming as her brother's, but still impressive. Thanks for letting me crash here. Ryus smiled. Any friend of my brother's is welcome. Besides, I can hardly turn away someone of your significance. You mean the whole dragon thing, Naruto said bluntly. Indeed. The primordial dragon emperor is something of a legend even among devils. She gestured to her companions. This is my peerage. Kaneko Tuju, my rook. The small white-haired girl nodded silently, her eyes assessing Naruto with unusual intensity. Kiba Yuto, my knight. The blonde boy bowed slightly. A pleasure to meet you, Naruto-san. And Issei Hayadu, my pawn. The brown-haired boy grinned and stepped forward enthusiastically. Hey there. So you're some kind of super powerful dragon guy? That's awesome. Naruto couldn't help but smile at Issei's enthusiasm. Something about the boy reminded him of himself when he was younger. Something like that, he replied. Though I'm still figuring it out myself. Issei is also dragon-affiliated, Ryus explained. He possesses the boosted gear, which contains the spirit of the Red Dragon Emperor, Drake. Another Dragon Emperor? Naruto asked, surprised. Issei held up his left arm, and a red gauntlet materialized, covering his hand and forearm. Yeah, but apparently yours is way older and more powerful. Drake's been freaking out since he sensed you nearby. As if on cue, the gauntlet glowed, and a deep, rumbling voice emerged from it. So it's true. The first one has returned. Naruto stepped closer, intrigued. You know about the primordial dragon emperor? Know of it? All dragons are descendants of its power in some form, DxD replied. Great Red, Ophis, Tiamat, myself, Albion, we are but echoes of what the first one was. To stand before its vessel is humbling. Speak for yourself, Kurama grumbled within Naruto, though only he could hear. Dragons and their dramatics. Can you tell me anything useful? Naruto asked DxD. Like why I'm here, or what's happening to me? The gauntlet pulsed as DxD considered. The first one's consciousness was fragmented ages ago, after the creation war with Abaddon the Destroyer. If it's awakening now, within a human vessel from another dimension, something has disturbed the cosmic balance. Abaddon? Naruto frowned. Another dragon? No. The antithesis to creation, a force of absolute void. Where the Dragon Emperor created, Abaddon unmade. Their battle shaped reality as we know it. A chill ran down Naruto's spine. And if this Dragon Emperor is waking up in me, then Abaddon may be stirring as well, came Grayfia's voice from the doorway. She had returned, accompanied by Serzex and Azazel. All three carried ancient-looking scrolls and books. That's the fear, Serzex confirmed grimly. The archives confirm it. The prophecy of the Dragon Emperor's return is paired with warnings about Abaddon's resurgence. Great, Naruto sighed. So not only am I stuck in another dimension with ancient dragon powers I don't understand, but now there's some cosmic destroyer that might be coming for me? This day just keeps getting better. Actually, Azazel said, dropping a heavy tome on the table, it might be worse than that. Our research suggests Abaddon may have been manipulating events across dimensions for centuries, including in your world. What do you mean? Naruto asked, a sense of dread growing. Azazel pointed to an illustration in the book, a ten-tailed beast that looked disturbingly familiar. The ten tails from your world? The entity that your Sage of Six Paths battled? It bears striking similarities to descriptions of Abaddon's earthly manifestations. Naruto stared at the illustration, remembering the god tree, Kagaya, the infinite Tsukimi, all of it connected to the ten tails. Are you saying all of that, everything my world went through, was because of this Abaddon thing? Not exactly, Serzex clarified. But the cycle of conflict in your world may have been influenced by the greater cosmic struggle. The Sage of Six Paths, the distribution of chakra to humans, even the creation of the bijou like your nine tails, all may have been part of the Dragon Emperor's fragmented consciousness preparing for eventual reconvergence. That, actually makes sense, Kurama admitted reluctantly, speaking so that all could hear him this time. The sage always said we bijou would one day find our true purpose. And when he separated us from the ten tails, he spoke of a power older than chakra itself. Naruto rubbed his temples, feeling a headache coming on. So what now? How do I get back to my world? How do I control these powers? And how do we stop this Abaddon thing if it is coming back? One step at a time, Grayfia said pragmatically. First, you need training to stabilize the Dragon Emperor's power within you. The first awakening was spontaneous, triggered by danger. The second awakening must be controlled. I can help with that, Azazel offered. As the foremost expert on sacred gears and draconic energy, I've developed methods for harmonizing human and dragon natures. And the Lucifuge family retains knowledge of the rituals used to commune with the Dragon Emperor, Grayfia added. I can teach you meditation techniques that will help integrate the memories as they emerge. Akeno stepped forward. I can assist with controlling the elemental aspects. From what we saw yesterday, the primordial dragon's power encompasses all elemental affinities. And I can provide a sparring partner. Issei volunteered enthusiastically. Boosted gear versus primordial dragon emperor. It'll be awesome. Rias cleared her throat. Perhaps we should start with something less destructive. She turned to Naruto. My peerage and I will ensure your security while you train. Kuo Town is under Gremory protection, which gives us some advantages. Naruto looked around at these strangers who were offering their help. It reminded him of how the people of Konoha had eventually come to support him, despite their initial fear of the Nine Tails. "Thank you," he said sincerely. "All of you. I know I'm a complication you didn't ask for." "On the contrary," Surzek said with a smile. "If the prophecies are true, your arrival may be the only thing that saves multiple dimensions from Abaddon's return. The question is, are you willing to embrace this role?" Naruto thought of Konoha, of his friends fighting the aftermath of the war without him. Of the promise he'd made to always protect those precious to him, no matter the cost. "I don't have much choice, do I?" he said finally. "If this Abaddon thing threatens my world too, then I'll do whatever it takes to stop it. That's my ninja way." "Admirable resolve," Grayfia commented, the faintest smile touching her lips. Then it settled, Azazel clapped his hands together. "We begin training tomorrow. For tonight, rest and recover. The next few weeks will be intense." As the meeting dispersed, Akeno approached Naruto. "I'll show you where you'll be staying. There's a room prepared for you in the old school building." "Thanks," Naruto said, falling into step beside her. "Hey, can I ask you something?" "Of course. Do you really think I can do this? Control this Dragon Emperor power, fight this Abaddon thing, all of it?" Akeno studied him for a moment, then smiled. "I saw how you fought yesterday, not just with power, but with conviction. You protected strangers simply because it was right." She placed a hand lightly on his arm. "So yes, Naruto Uzumaki, I think you're exactly the kind of person who can handle being the primordial Dragon Emperor." The sincerity in her voice brought a genuine smile to Naruto's face. For the first time since arriving in this strange world, he felt a sense of possibility rather than just confusion and concern. "Well then," he said, "I guess I better not disappoint." As they walked away, neither noticed Grayfia watching them from the shadows, an unreadable expression in her silver eyes. The next day began Naruto's training in earnest. Azazel arrived early, setting up equipment in a magically reinforced underground chamber beneath the school. The goal, he explained as he attached sensors to Naruto's body, is to help you access the Dragon Emperor's power consciously rather than reactively. Think of it like opening a tap rather than waiting for the pipe to burst. "Makes sense," Naruto nodded. "It's kind of like how I learned to use Kurama's chakra. At first, it only came out when I was angry or in danger." "Exactly," Azazel pointed to a monitor displaying Naruto's energy signature. "See these patterns? The gold is the Dragon Emperor's energy, the orange is your Ninetales chakra, and the blue is your own natural energy. They're beginning to harmonize, but there are still distinct boundaries." Naruto studied the swirling colors on the screen. "So what do we do?" "We're going to create a controlled situation where you can safely tap into the dragon power." Azazel gestured to what looked like a meditation circle inscribed on the floor. "The lucifuge rituals Grayfia provided will help establish the initial connection." Speaking of Grayfia, the silver-haired maid entered the chamber, carrying ancient scrolls and what appeared to be ceremonial items. "These will help focus the energies," she explained, setting down a crystal that seemed to resonate with Naruto's presence. "The rituals work best when performed by someone with a connection to the Dragon Emperor." "Like you," Naruto observed. Grayfia nodded. "The Lucifuge family served as conduits for the Dragon Emperor's will for generations. That bond remains in our bloodline, diluted but present." As they prepared for the ritual, Akeno arrived with Rias and the others. "We'll maintain a barrier during the process," Rias explained. "If anything goes wrong, we can contain the energy discharge." "Reassuring," Naruto commented dryly. "Just a precaution," Akeno said with a smile. "We've seen how powerful you can be even accidentally. Controlled access might be spectacular." Once everything was prepared, Naruto took his position in the center of the ritual circle. Grayfia knelt across from him, the ancient crystal between them. "Focus on your breathing," she instructed. Visualize the energy within you, all three aspects, as rivers flowing from different sources into a single ocean. Naruto closed his eyes, following her guidance. He found his mindscape, where Kurama usually resided, but it had changed. Instead of the familiar sewer-like chamber, he stood in a vast space that seemed to span dimensions. Kurama was there, but so was something else, a presence of immense power and ancient wisdom. The consciousness awakens, came a voice that seemed to resonate from everywhere at once. Unlike Kurama's gruff tones, this voice carried harmonics that vibrated through Naruto's very being. "Are you, the Dragon Emperor?" Naruto asked within his mind. "I am. And I am you. As you are me. We are not separate, but aspects of the same existence across time and dimensions." "That doesn't make sense," Naruto argued. "I'm Naruto Uzumaki. I have my own life, my own memories." "Yes. And those experiences are precious, they are why you were chosen as the vessel for reconvergence. Your heart, your determination, your capacity for compassion and forgiveness, these are qualities I once possessed before time itself began." Kurama snorted. "Great. Another godlike entity with an ego problem." To Naruto's surprise, the presence seemed amused by Kurama's irreverence. "The nine-tailed fox. One of my more willful fragments. You've done well to forge a bond with this one, Naruto Uzumaki." "Fragments? You mean Kurama is part of you too?" "All chakra beasts are echoes of my original power, filtered through the lens of your dimension. Just as the dragons of this world are expressions of my essence here." Naruto tried to process this. "So when you went to my world?" "I did not go there. I seeded aspects of my consciousness across all dimensions simultaneously. In your world, that seed manifested as what you call chakra and eventually the ten tails. In this world, it became the dragons and draconic energy. All part of a greater design to maintain balance against Abaddon's influence. And now you're, what? Taking over my body?" The presence seemed to dim slightly. "No. That would defeat the purpose. The reconvergence is not about erasing Naruto Uzumaki, it is about completing him. You were born with the potential to wield powers beyond human comprehension. I am simply helping you access what was always yours." Outside in the physical world, those watching the ritual saw Naruto's body begin to glow with golden light. Scales shimmered across his skin in patterns before fading again, like waves on a shore. "It's working," Azazel murmured, watching the energy reading spike and stabilize in patterns. "He's establishing conscious contact." Inside his mindscape, Naruto considered the Dragon Emperor's words. "So how do I use these powers without passing out like last time?" "By accepting them as natural extensions of yourself rather than foreign intrusions. Your shadow clones, your Rasengan, your Sage Mode, all these techniques channel energy through focused intent. The primordial power works the same way, simply on a greater scale." Naruto nodded slowly. "So it's about intention and control, not just raw power." "Precisely. Let me show you." Knowledge flooded into Naruto's consciousness, not complete understanding, but pathways to access different aspects of the Dragon Emperor's abilities. He saw how reality itself was malleable to one who understood its fundamental structure, how dimensions connected at key points, how energy could be shaped by will alone. "This is incredible," Naruto breathed. "And dangerous in the wrong hands," the presence cautioned. "Which is why the reconvergence happens gradually, as you prove capable of handling each level of awareness. The first awakening gave you access to enhanced physical abilities and basic energy manipulation. The second awakening, which you are approaching now, will grant deeper understanding of dimensional forces." "And how many awakenings are there?" 7 in total. The final one will complete the reconvergence, if you choose to accept it when the time comes." "If I choose?" "Always. Force creates imbalance, and imbalance feeds Abaddon. Every step must be your decision." With that, the presence began to fade, melding more closely with Naruto's own consciousness. Kurama watched with an uncharacteristically thoughtful expression. "Well, kid, looks like you've graduated from housing one ancient power to becoming one. Try not to let it go to your head." Naruto grinned at the fox. "No chance of that with you around to keep me humble." In the physical world, Naruto's eyes opened. They glowed briefly with golden light before returning to their natural blue. The ritual circle beneath him pulsed once, then settled. "How do you feel?" Azazel asked, checking the monitors. Naruto stood, moving with a new fluidity. "Different. Clearer. Like I've been seeing the world through a foggy window and someone just wiped it clean." "Can you access the power consciously now?" Grayfia asked, rising gracefully from her position. Instead of answering verbally, Naruto extended his hand. Golden energy gathered above his palm, forming a small sphere similar to a Rasengan but composed of pure draconic energy. Unlike his previous uncontrolled burst of power, this manifestation was precise, contained, and produced no strain on his body. "Impressive control," Azazel commented, studying the readings. "You're channeling primordial energy without any of the chaotic fluctuations we saw yesterday." Naruto closed his hand, dissipating the energy sphere. "It's like the Dragon Emperor said, it's about intention and control, not just power." "You spoke with it?" Grayfia asked, a hint of something like reverence in her voice. "Yeah. It's strange. Not like talking to Kurama. More like discovering parts of myself I didn't know existed." Naruto tried to explain the experience. "It says there are 7 awakenings in total, and I've just started the second." 7, Azazel mused. "That aligns with ancient texts about the Dragon Emperor's aspects. Creation, destruction, knowledge, time, space, spirit, and transcendence." Issei, who had been watching with undisguised awe, finally spoke up. "So you're telling me he's going to be 7 times stronger than he already is? That's insane." "Not stronger," Grayfia corrected. "More complete. Each awakening represents the integration of a different aspect of the Dragon Emperor's consciousness with Naruto's own. Which means," Akeno added, "he needs training to handle each new level of awareness and power." Rias stepped forward. "And we need to prepare for the reactions this will provoke." If Kokobeel's response was any indication, many in the supernatural world will view Naruto's awakening as a threat. "Or an opportunity," Surzek said from the doorway. He had arrived midway through the ritual and had been observing silently. "Word has already spread. The underworld is abuzz with rumors, and the Angel faction has requested a meeting." "Michael?" Azazel asked. Surzek nodded. "He's concerned, naturally, but not hostile. The same cannot be said for all factions." "Let me guess," Naruto sighed. "We can expect more attacks like yesterday's." "Almost certainly," Surzek confirmed. "Which is why we need to accelerate your training. The faster you can control these powers, the better equipped you'll be to defend yourself, and potentially find a way back to your dimension, if that's what you choose." The mention of home brought mixed feelings to Naruto. Part of him desperately wanted to return to Konoha, to his friends and the world he knew. But another part, a growing part, felt connected to this new world and the people in it. "Right," he said finally. "Let's get to work then." The days that followed established a new routine. Mornings were spent with Azazel, exploring the scientific aspects of Naruto's changing energy signature and learning to consciously access different facets of the Dragon Emperor's power. Afternoons belonged to combat training, with Akeno helping him integrate elemental manipulation with his ninja techniques, creating hybrid abilities that combined the best of both worlds. Evenings were reserved for the lucifuge rituals with Grayfia, delving deeper into the Dragon Emperor's memories and the cosmic awareness that came with them. These sessions were the most intense, often leaving Naruto physically drained but mentally expanded. Throughout it all, Naruto found himself growing closer to both Akeno and Grayfia, though in different ways. Akeno's playful nature and hidden depths reminded him of friends back home, making it easy to relax around her despite the intense circumstances. She never shied away from pushing him during training, but always balanced challenge with encouragement. "Your lightning style is getting better," she commented after a particularly successful session where Naruto had managed to combine his Rasengan with primordial lightning energy. "Though your control still needs work." "Hey, I'm trying," Naruto protested good-naturedly. "Not all of us were born throwing lightning around." Akeno laughed. "True. I've had years to perfect my technique." Her expression softened slightly. "You know, it's strange." "What is?" "Working with you has made me reconsider some things. About my fallen angel powers, I mean." Naruto had noticed she'd begun using both lightning and light-based abilities during their training sessions, gradually becoming more comfortable with her mixed heritage. "Because of the whole, accept all aspects of yourself, thing," he guessed. "Partly," Akeno admitted. "It's hard to justify rejecting half of myself when I'm helping you integrate multiple forms of power." She created a small light spear in one hand and lightning in the other. "Maybe it's time I practiced what I preach." "For what it's worth," Naruto said, "I think both sides of your power are pretty amazing." The smile Akeno gave him made something in his chest flutter strangely. His relationship with Grayfia was more complex. The formal maid maintained professional distance during most interactions, but during the evening rituals, something different emerged, a connection that transcended normal relationships. "Your mind is wandering," she chided gently during one such session, as they sat facing each other within a ritual circle. "Sorry," Naruto apologized. "It's just, there was a memory that came through tonight. About you, or your family, I guess." Grayfia's perfect composure slipped slightly. "What did you see?" "The first lucifuge," Naruto said slowly, trying to articulate the fragmentary images. "A woman with silver hair like yours, standing before the Dragon Emperor. She wasn't afraid, even though his smallest claw was larger than her entire body." "Serafina Lucifuge," Grayfia murmured. "The founder of our line. The family histories say she was the first human to address the Dragon Emperor as an equal rather than a deity." Naruto nodded. "She said something like, 'If you are truly as wise as you are powerful, you will recognize the value of human perspective.' And the Dragon Emperor was impressed by her audacity," Grayfia continued, a rare smile touching her lips. "He granted her family the honor of serving as intermediaries between dragonkind and humanity." "It's more than that, though," Naruto said thoughtfully. "The Dragon Emperor respected her. Even, liked her. Is that why you all feel this connection to me now?" Grayfia's silver eyes met his, unguarded for once. "The Lucifuge family has always had a unique relationship with the Dragon Emperor. Not worship, not servitude, but partnership. We maintain the balance between the cosmic and the human. And now that I'm both." "Now." Grayfia hesitated. "Now the boundaries are less clear. The Lucifuge oath binds us to serve the Dragon Emperor's purpose, but when that purpose resides within a human." She didn't finish the thought, but Naruto sensed the complexity of emotions behind her words. Duty, tradition, and personal feelings were becoming increasingly entangled. Beyond these developing relationships, Naruto's time at Koho Academy also brought him into the orbit of the school's other supernatural residents. Issei became something of a disciple, constantly asking for training tips and challenging Naruto to sparring matches that inevitably ended with the enthusiastic pawn flat on his back but grinning nonetheless. One of these days, Issei declared after another such defeat, "I'll land a hit on you." "Keep dreaming," Naruto laughed, helping him up. "But your dragon arm thing is getting stronger." "Boosted gear," Issei corrected proudly. "Drayeg says being around your energy is helping him recover power faster than normal." "Indeed," the dragon's voice rumbled from the gauntlet. "The primordial one's presence resonates with all dragonkind. Even Wales, my current rival, would feel it. This pattern of training, study, and growing connections continued for several weeks, interrupted occasionally by minor supernatural threats drawn to the unusual energy emanating from Kuo. None matched the organization or power of Kokobeel's attack, but each skirmish provided Naruto with opportunities to test his evolving abilities in real combat situations. Until one evening, when everything changed. Naruto was meditating alone in his room, practicing the dimensional awareness techniques Grayfia had taught him, when he felt it, a ripple in reality, similar to the tear that had brought him to this world, but darker somehow. Wronger. His eyes snapped open just as alarms began blaring throughout the old school building. He was on his feet and moving before the first knock came at his door. Naruto. It was Akeno, already dressed in her Shrine Maiden battle outfit. Something's breaking through the outer barriers. I felt it, he confirmed, following her down the hallway where the others were gathering. It's not like the other attacks. Rias stood at the center of the room, a magic circle displaying the school grounds and the multiple barrier breaches occurring simultaneously. Coordinated assault, she said grimly. At least 20 high-class entities at different entry points. The Spectral Six, Grayfia said, materializing beside them in a transportation circle. Surzex warned they might make a move soon. Who are they exactly? Naruto asked, preparing himself mentally for battle. A coalition formed specifically to prevent the Dragon Emperor's return, Grayfia explained. Each member specializes in countering a different aspect of dragon power. Together, they're formidable enough that even the faction leaders treat them with caution. Great, Naruto muttered. So much for a quiet evening. They've breached the secondary barriers. Kiba reported, his sword already drawn. Northeast and western approaches compromised. Rias quickly issued orders. Kiba, Kaneko, reinforce the west. Issei, with me to the northeast. Akeno, I'm staying with Naruto, Akeno said firmly. They'll be coming for him specifically. As will I, Grayfia added, her tone leaving no room for argument. The Lucifuge duty demands it. Rias nodded. Very well. Defend the main building. Surzex and Azazel have been notified, but it will take time for them to arrive. As the others rushed to their positions, Naruto turned to Akeno and Grayfia. I'm not hiding while others fight for me. We're not asking you to, Akeno said with a smile that held anticipation rather than fear. We're fighting with you. The front courtyard provides the best defensive position, Grayfia suggested. Open space for maneuverability, but contained enough to prevent flanking. Naruto nodded in agreement. Let's go. The three moved through the building and emerged into the courtyard just as the first attackers appeared, humanoid figures wreathed in strange, shifting energy that seemed to absorb light rather than emit it. Void Walkers, Grayfia identified. Servants of Nyarla, one of the six. They negate standard magic, Akeno added, lightning crackling around her hands. But dragon energy should be effective. Then let's test that theory, Naruto said, channeling the golden power he'd been practicing with. It responded instantly, flowing through his chakra network and manifesting as a golden aura. The Void Walkers hesitated, seemingly surprised by the nature of Naruto's energy, before surging forward in a coordinated assault. What followed was a battle unlike any Naruto had experienced before. The Void Walkers moved with uncanny coordination, their attacks designed to isolate and wear down their target through sheer numbers rather than individual power. But they hadn't counted on facing three exceptional fighters working in perfect synchronization. Akeno took to the air, raining down lightning that she infused with holy power, the first time Naruto had seen her fully embrace both sides of her heritage in combat. The combined energy tore through the Void Walkers' defenses, creating openings for Naruto and Grayfia to exploit. Grayfia moved with lethal precision, her ice magic manifesting not as simple projectiles but as intricate constructs that adapted to their target's movements. When conventional ice proved less effective against some enemies, she switched to a frigid energy that seemed to freeze time itself around her targets. And Naruto felt more alive than he had since arriving in this world. The Dragon Emperor's power flowed naturally now, enhancing rather than overwhelming his ninja abilities. He created shadow clones infused with golden energy, formed Razengans that distorted space around them, and moved with a speed that left afterimages in his wake. "Behind you!" Akeno called out, and Naruto spun to find 3 Void Walkers converging on him from different angles. Without conscious thought, he extended his hand, and reality seemed to ripple. The space between him and his attackers compressed, then expanded violently, sending the Void Walkers crashing into the ground. "Nice trick," Akeno commented as she landed beside him, back to back. "Thanks. Still figuring it out myself." Naruto formed a familiar cross seal. Shadow Clone Jutsu. 20 clones appeared, each radiating the same golden energy as the original. They engaged the remaining Void Walkers, matching their numbers' advantage. Grayfia rejoined them, her maid uniform somehow still immaculate despite the intense combat. "These are merely the vanguard," she warned. "The 6 themselves will." A massive pressure cut off her words as the air in front of them tore open. Unlike the clean dimensional tear that had brought Naruto to this world, this rift oozed darkness, as if reality itself were bleeding. From within emerged 6 figures, each radiating power that made the Void Walkers seem insignificant by comparison. The Primordial Dragon Emperor, spoke the central figure, a tall, androgynous being with skin like liquid mercury. Or rather, its latest vessel. "How diminished you've become." Naruto stepped forward, positioning himself slightly ahead of Akeno and Grayfia despite their protests. "And you are?" "We are the Spectral 6, the Mercury being replied. "I am Nyarla, Speaker of Voids. With me stand Cows the Undivided, Seaman of the Thousand Faces, Ixis the World Carver, Meridia the Light Thief, and Valmirax the End Singer." Each being nodded as their name was spoken, entities of different forms but unified purpose. One appeared as a constantly shifting mass of faces, another was a humanoid figure composed entirely of geometric shapes that shouldn't have been able to exist in 3-dimensional space. "Impressive introductions," Naruto said, unintimidated. "But why attack us? What exactly are you hoping to accomplish here?" Nyarla's liquid metal face rippled in what might have been amusement. "Hope. We deal in certainties, vessel. The Dragon Emperor must not fully awaken. The cosmic balance has maintained stability for eons. Your existence threatens that balance. Because of Abaddon," Naruto guessed. "You think my awakening will trigger its return?" "We know it will," said the being introduced as Cows, its voice somehow coming from everywhere at once. "The patterns are clear. The dimensional weakening has already begun. Your presence in this world is both symptom and catalyst." "Then help me stop Abaddon," Naruto countered. "If that's the real threat, you are the threat," interrupted Valmirax, a skeletal figure wreathed in cosmic fire. "Abaddon exists because the Dragon Emperor exists. One cannot be without the other. The only solution is to prevent your full awakening. By killing me," Naruto concluded flatly. "By unmaking you," corrected Seaman, the shifting faces being. "Death would merely release the energy. We must dissolve the connection between vessel and power." Akeno stepped up beside Naruto. "You'll have to go through us first." "And the entire Gremory household," added Grayfia, ice forming around her in complex patterns. Nyarla regarded them with something like pity. "Brave, but futile. We have existed since before devils walked this dimension. Your powers are meaningless against us." "We'll see about that," Naruto said, golden energy intensifying around him. "I've been told I'm pretty good at defying cosmic certainties." The battle erupted with devastating force. The Spectral 6 moved as a single entity despite their disparate forms, each attacking with powers that bent the very laws of reality. Naruto quickly realized these weren't simply powerful supernatural beings, they were conceptual entities, embodiments of fundamental cosmic principles. Akeno's lightning, no matter how infused with holy power, seemed to pass through Meridia without effect. Grayfia's time-freezing ice shattered against Ixasa's geometric form. And Naruto's own attacks, even enhanced with the Dragon Emperor's energy, were absorbed or deflected with disturbing ease. "We must adapt," Grayfia called out, narrowly avoiding a blast of energy that erased a portion of the courtyard from existence. "They counter direct approaches." Naruto nodded, understanding. These entities had specifically prepared to fight the Dragon Emperor, they knew all the standard tactics. But they didn't know Naruto Uzumaki, ninja of Konoha. "Akeno, Grayfia," he shouted. "Remember the combined technique we practiced last week?" Both women's eyes widened in recognition before they nodded. Now. Naruto created 100 shadow clones that swarmed the six from all directions. It was a distraction, but an effective one. While the entities dispatched clones with ease, the real Naruto, Akeno, and Grayfia moved into position. Grayfia began a complex incantation, one drawn from the ancient Lucifuge rituals but modified with Naruto's input. Around her, magic circles formed in layered patterns, each bearing symbols that resonated with the Dragon Emperor's energy. Akeno channeled both holy and demonic power simultaneously, creating not lightning this time but a spiraling vortex of purifying energy. It was a technique they had developed by combining her natural affinities with concepts from Naruto's Rasen Shuriken. And Naruto himself entered a state between Sage Mode and the Dragon Emperor's awareness, a hybrid consciousness that perceived the cosmic currents flowing through reality. He saw not just the physical forms of the six, but the conceptual matrices that defined them. "Their power comes from separation," he called out, the insight striking him suddenly. "They're fragments themselves, parts of something greater that divorced themselves to maintain balance." Of course, Grayfia's eyes widened in realization. Their reflections, echoes of the original schism between creation and destruction. "Then we don't fight them directly," Akeno concluded. "We remind them of what they really are." The three synchronized their techniques with perfect timing. Grayfia's ritual circles expanded outward, creating a domain that temporarily aligned all dimensional frequencies. Within this space, Akeno's purifying vortex swept through the six, not attacking but resonating with the fragments of original creation within each entity. Naruto completed the technique by channeling pure Dragon Emperor energy, not as a weapon, but as a mirror that reflected each being's true nature back at themselves. The effect was immediate and stunning. The six froze in place, their forms flickering as conflicting existential parameters tried to reconcile themselves. For beings that had maintained rigid separation from cosmic unity for eons, the reminder of their original connected nature was profoundly disruptive. "This changes nothing," Nyarla struggled to speak, its mercury form rippling violently. "Abaddon, still, comes. Then we'll face it together," Naruto responded, maintaining the technique despite the strain it placed on his still developing control. "Division is what makes us vulnerable. Unity is strength." "Philosophy, from a human vessel," Valmarax laughed bitterly. "Perhaps, there is wisdom in your primitive perspective." The six began to destabilize further, their forms losing cohesion. Naruto realized with alarm that their technique might be destroying these ancient beings entirely. "Wait," he shouted to Akeno and Grayfia. "We need to stabilize them, not unmake them." "How?" Akeno called back, struggling to modulate her energy. Naruto reached deeper into the Dragon Emperor's consciousness, seeking knowledge beyond his current awakening level. It responded, painfully, forcefully, pushing him toward the third awakening before he was ready. "Careful, kid," Kurama warned. "Forcing it could shatter your mind." No choice, Naruto gritted through clenched teeth. Knowledge flooded his awareness, cosmic principles, dimensional constants, the structure of conceptual entities. With this came understanding of how to stabilize the six without destroying them. Golden light erupted from Naruto's body as scales manifested across his skin. This time, they didn't recede, they settled into permanent patterns that marked the progression of his awakening. From within his chest, a secondary heart began to beat in rhythm with his own, circulating not blood but pure primordial energy. Spectral 6, he spoke, his voice carrying those harmonic overtones once more, I offer balance, not destruction. Accept reconciliation without losing individuality. He modified the technique, using his newly accessed knowledge to create a stabilizing matrix around each entity. The golden energy formed complex patterns that aligned with each being's unique frequency while harmonizing with the overall cosmic structure. Slowly, painfully, the six stabilized, changed but intact, their forms more cohesive yet somehow more connected to each other than before. Nyarla was the first to fully recover, its mercury face reforming into a more defined visage. What have you done to us? It demanded, though without the previous hostility. Reminded you of what you were, Naruto answered, struggling to remain standing as the strain of the premature awakening took its toll. And what you could be again. Impossible, Ixis stated, geometric forms shifting more fluidly now. We abandoned unity eons ago to maintain the cosmic balance. And look where that got us, Naruto countered. Abaddon still threatens, dimensions still weaken, and you're fighting the very force that might actually help fix things. The six exchanged looks, or whatever passed for looks among such diverse entities. You propose an alternative? Cows asked. Alliance, Naruto said simply. You know more about cosmic balance than anyone. I have the Dragon Emperor's power but not its full knowledge yet. Together, we might actually stand a chance against Abaddon. Preposterous, Volmarax began, but Meridia raised a hand to silence him. The vessel speaks with wisdom beyond its years, the light thief said. And it has demonstrated power we did not anticipate. Perhaps the prophecies have been misinterpreted. You can't seriously be considering this, Seaman protested, its thousand faces showing varying degrees of outrage. I am, Meridia confirmed. We have fought the Dragon Emperor's return for eons, yet here it stands before us, having done what we thought impossible, stabilizing our conceptual matrices without destruction. And offering cooperation rather than dominance, Nyarla added thoughtfully. Most unexpected. Before the discussion could continue, new arrivals teleported into the courtyard. Surzex, Azazel, and a contingent of powerful devils and fallen angels appeared, battle-ready. We came as fast as we, Surzex began, then stopped short at the unusual tableau before him. What exactly is happening here? Negotiations, Naruto replied with a pained smile, before his legs finally gave out. Akeno caught him before he hit the ground. The third awakening, Grayfia observed, moving to examine him. Forced prematurely. He needs immediate attention. Take him inside, Surzex ordered, keeping a wary eye on the six. Azazel, with me. Let's find out what kind of negotiations are happening here. As Akeno and Grayfia carried Naruto toward the building, he heard Nyarla addressing Surzex and Azazel. The Dragon Emperor's vessel has proposed a most unusual alliance. One we find ourselves considering. Naruto smiled faintly before consciousness slipped away. Not bad for a ninja from another dimension, he thought. Not bad at all. His last sensation was of Akeno and Grayfia holding him securely between them, their faces showing identical expressions of concern and something deeper, something he was too exhausted to identify but that warmed him nonetheless as darkness claimed him. Chapter 2, Crimson Bonds. Naruto awoke to the sensation of sunlight warming his face. He blinked, disoriented, as memories of the battle with the Spectral Six came rushing back. His body felt different, stronger yet somehow more sensitive, as if his skin could perceive subtle currents in the air that had previously been invisible to him. Finally awake, I see, came a familiar voice. Turning his head, he found Akeno sitting beside his bed, a book open in her lap. She wore casual clothes, jeans and a simple blouse, rather than her usual school uniform or battle attire. How long was I out this time? Naruto asked, his voice rough from disuse. 3 days, Akeno replied, setting her book aside. The third awakening hit you hard. Azazel said forcing it prematurely was like trying to run a marathon without training first. Naruto sat up cautiously, expecting pain or dizziness. Instead, he felt unusually clear-headed, though his body hummed with barely contained energy. Looking down, he noticed golden scale patterns permanently etched into the skin of his forearms, not raised like actual scales, but more like intricate tattoos that shimmered when he moved. "Yeah, those are new," Akeno confirmed, following his gaze. "Azazel's been studying them. They appear to be physical manifestations of your progressing integration with the Dragon Emperor's essence." "They're actually kind of cool," Naruto admitted, tracing the patterns with his finger. "Kurama, you there?" "Of course I'm here, kid," came the fox's grumbling response. "Someone had to keep your chakra networks from overloading while you took your extended nap." "Thanks, partner." Naruto glanced around the room, not his usual quarters in the old school building, but a more spacious chamber with elegant furnishings. "Where are we?" "Surzek's private estate in the human world," Akeno explained. "After what happened with the Six, he decided you needed more security and comfort for recovery." "The Six, what happened after I passed out?" Akeno smiled. "You somehow managed to turn ancient cosmic entities bent on your destruction into reluctant allies. Nyarla and Meridia have been in almost constant meetings with the faction leaders, discussing Abaddon and the dimensional weakening." "No way," Naruto grinned, pleasantly surprised. "So my crazy plan actually worked. More effectively than anyone anticipated. Azazel thinks it has something to do with the Third Awakening. Accessing the knowledge aspect of the Dragon Emperor gave you insights into the Six's true nature that no one else possessed." Naruto swung his legs over the side of the bed, testing his strength. His muscles responded perfectly, though he could feel new power coursing through them, eager for release. "And everyone else? Grayfia? Rias and her group? All fine?" "Grayfia's been splitting her time between strengthening the dimensional barriers and performing research in the Lucifuge family archives. She said the ritual you performed with the Six revealed connections she hadn't previously understood." Akeno paused, something flickering in her eyes. "She's been checking on you daily." Naruto caught the slight change in Akeno's tone. "And you?" "I've been here," she said simply. "Someone needed to monitor your energy fluctuations, and I have experience with both holy and demonic power." It made sense. "You've been here the whole time?" Naruto asked, touched by her dedication. Akeno shrugged, though the casual gesture didn't quite mask the care behind it. "You'd have done the same. Besides, your energy spikes were interesting to study." Before Naruto could respond, the door opened, and Grayfia entered. She carried a tray with food and what appeared to be medicinal herbs, but nearly dropped it when she saw Naruto awake. For a brief moment, her perfect composure cracked into visible relief before she smoothly recovered. "You've awakened," she stated, setting the tray down. "How do you feel?" "Like I could run laps around the moon," Naruto replied honestly. "Everything's sharper. Clearer. I can sense energies I couldn't before." "The Third Awakening, knowledge," Grayfia nodded. "Your perception of cosmic and dimensional energies will be significantly enhanced." She approached, her movements precise as always. "May I?" Naruto nodded, and Grayfia placed her hand on his forehead, a faint magic circle appearing between them. Her eyes widened slightly. "Extraordinary. Your integration rate has accelerated dramatically. The patterns are stabilizing much faster than the ancient texts predicted." "Is that good or bad?" Naruto asked. "Both," Grayfia replied. "It means your human consciousness is successfully adapting to the Dragon Emperor's power, but it also means the timeline for all 7 awakenings may be compressed. Which gives us less time to prepare for each stage," Akeno added, concern evident in her voice. "And less time before Abaddon potentially responds," Grayfia concluded. Naruto absorbed this, then smiled unexpectedly. "Well, I've never been good at taking things slow anyway. If we're on an accelerated timeline, we just need to work harder." The two women exchanged glances that contained a complex mix of exasperation and admiration. "You should eat," Grayfia said, gesturing to the tray. "Your physical body still requires sustenance, regardless of the cosmic energy you now channel. And after that, there's a meeting," Akeno added. "The faction leaders want to speak with you, now that you're awake." "All of them?" Naruto asked through a mouthful of what appeared to be some kind of supernatural energy bar. "All of them," Grayfia confirmed. "Angels, fallen angels, devils, yokai, even representatives from the Norse and Hindu pantheons. Your negotiations with the Spectral Six have attracted significant attention." "Great," Naruto sighed. "Politics. My favorite." Akeno laughed. "Somehow I doubt diplomacy was covered in ninja training. You'd be surprised. Though my former teacher's approach usually involved threatening people with creative uses of headlocks." Naruto finished the food with impressive speed. "So, do I have time for a shower before I face the supernatural United Nations?" "Yes," Grayfia replied. "The meeting is scheduled for noon. I've arranged appropriate attire." She gestured to a closet where Naruto could see formal clothing hanging. "No offense, but I'm not really a suit guy," Naruto said skeptically. "The attire is ceremonial," Grayfia explained. "As the vessel of the Primordial Dragon Emperor, your appearance carries significant weight in supernatural politics. The clothing has been specifically designed to accommodate both your comfort and the expectations of the various factions." "Fine," Naruto conceded. "But nothing too stuffy. I need to be able to fight if things go sideways, which, let's be honest, they probably will." Grayfia's lips curved in. The faintest ghost of a smile. "The design accounts for your propensity for combat situations." After Naruto showered and changed into the provided outfit, a stylized combination of traditional Japanese formal wear and more practical battle gear in black and gold, he examined himself in the mirror. The clothes were surprisingly comfortable and allowed full range of movement while still looking impressive. The golden scale patterns on his arms were left exposed, seeming to complement the outfit's design. "Not bad," he admitted to himself. "Definitely better than those robes the Hokage has to wear." "You look ridiculous," Kurama commented dryly. "Like a dragon trying to play dress-up." "Nobody asked you," Naruto muttered, though he grinned at the fox's familiar snark. When he emerged from his chambers, he found Akeno waiting in the hallway. She'd changed as well, wearing a formal kimono in shades of purple that complemented her eyes. Her usual ponytail had been styled more elaborately, with ornamental pins holding it in place. "You clean up surprisingly well," she commented, appraising him with approval. "Back at you," Naruto replied, momentarily struck by how the formal attire accentuated her natural beauty. "Though I'm guessing neither of us is particularly comfortable dressed like this." "A necessary evil for supernatural politics," Akeno sighed. "Image matters almost as much as power in these circles." "And where's Grayfia?" Naruto asked, noticing her absence. "Already at the meeting venue, ensuring everything is properly arranged. She takes her duties very seriously. I've noticed." "Does she ever relax?" Akeno gave him a meaningful look. "Perhaps around certain people. She's been different since you arrived." Before Naruto could pursue this intriguing comment, Akeno created a transportation circle beneath them. "Ready?" "As I'll ever be," Naruto replied, bracing himself for the now familiar sensation of magical teleportation, something he was still getting used to compared to the more straightforward body flicker techniques of his world. They materialized in an antechamber of what appeared to be a massive conference hall. Through open doors, Naruto could see representatives of various supernatural factions already gathered. The room itself seemed to exist in a pocket dimension, with windows that looked out onto landscapes from different realms simultaneously. Grayfia appeared beside them, dressed in a more formal version of her maid uniform that somehow conveyed both subservience to her station and the immense power she possessed. "The factions are assembled," she informed them. "You'll be formally announced," after which Surzex will open the proceedings. She studied Naruto with an assessing gaze. Remember that many present will be looking for signs of weakness or aggression. Maintain composure regardless of provocation. So basically, don't punch anyone no matter how much they might deserve it, Naruto translated with a grin. Grayfia's expression remained serious, though Naruto caught the barest hint of amusement in her eyes. Precisely. Don't worry, Akeno said. We'll be with you throughout. Indeed, Grayfia confirmed. As representatives of your support structure. Naruto raised an eyebrow at the formal phrasing but nodded. Alright then. Let's get this show on the road. As they approached the main doors, a voice called out from behind them. Vessel of the Dragon Emperor. A moment of your time. They turned to see an elegantly dressed man with silver hair and aristocratic features approaching, flanked by 2 guards in ornate armor. Rise of him Levon Lucifer, Grayfia said, her voice suddenly cold. You were not listed among the attendees. A last-minute addition, the man replied smoothly. The Elder Devil Council felt it prudent to have additional representation. Naruto studied the newcomer with instinctive wariness. Something about Rise of him felt off, his power signature wasn't as overwhelming as Surzex, but there was a quality to it that set Naruto's newly enhanced senses on edge. And you wanted to speak with me specifically because... Naruto prompted. Rise of him smiled, the expression not reaching his eyes. Merely to offer my perspective before you enter what promises to be a rather contentious meeting. Not all factions view the Dragon Emperor's return with Surzex optimism. I'm aware, Naruto replied evenly. The Spectral Six made that pretty clear. Ah yes, your unexpected allies. Rise of him's smile widened fractionally. A remarkable achievement, turning cosmic entities to your cause. One might wonder what other ancient powers might be, persuaded by your unique approach. If you have a point, make it, Akeno said sharply. The meeting is about to begin. Rise of him inclined his head in mock apology. Forgive my circumspection. I merely wish to extend an invitation for a private discussion following today's proceedings. There are aspects of the Dragon Emperor's history that even the Gremory archives lack, information that might prove vital to your evolution. And you have access to this information? Naruto asked skeptically. The Lucifer bloodline maintains its own records, dating back to before the Great War. Rise of him's gaze shifted briefly to Grayfia. Records that even the Lucifuge family has not been privy to. Grayfia's expression remained impassive, but Naruto sensed a subtle tension in her posture. I'll consider it, Naruto said diplomatically, not wanting to create an incident before the meeting even began. Splendid. Rise of him produced a small crystal from his pocket, offering it to Naruto. A token of good faith, a memory crystal containing a glimpse of the knowledge I possess. Before Naruto could accept or decline, Grayfia stepped between them. All gifts must be examined by security personnel before being presented to the Dragon Emperor's vessel. Rise of him's pleasant expression flickered with momentary annoyance before smoothing over. Of course. How remiss of me. He handed the crystal to one of Grayfia's attendants who had materialized nearby. I look forward to our conversation, Naruto Uzumaki. I believe we have much to discuss. With that, he and his guards departed toward the main hall. I don't like him, Naruto said once Rise of him was out of earshot. A wise instinct, Grayfia replied. Rise of him Levon Lucifer is among the most dangerous devils in existence, not merely for his power, but for his cunning and complete lack of moral constraints. He's Surzex's predecessor's son, Akeno explained. Old Satan faction, though he maintains a carefully neutral public stance. What he wants is rarely beneficial to anyone but himself. Great. Another power-hungry manipulator to deal with. Naruto sighed. Just like home. We should proceed, Grayfia said, glancing at an ornate timepiece. The ceremonial entrance is timed precisely. The main hall fell silent as they entered. Hundreds of supernatural beings from dozens of factions sat in tiered seating arranged in a semicircle facing a central platform. Naruto recognized some faces, Surzex and Azazel at the front, with Rias and her peerage seated nearby. Others were new to him, a stunningly beautiful woman with 12 white wings, a serious-looking man with a patch over one eye and a raven on his shoulder, beings with animal features that suggested Yukai heritage. And, in a special section near the center, the Spectral Six, or at least, their representatives in humanoid form. Nyarla's Mercury features had solidified into a more defined face, though still unnervingly fluid at the edges. Meridia appeared as a woman composed of prismatic light, while the others had each adopted forms that, while unusual, were less cosmically disturbing than their true appearances. As Naruto, Akeno, and Grayfia took their places on the central platform, Surzex stood to address the assembly. Honored representatives of the supernatural world, he began, his voice carrying effortlessly throughout the vast chamber. We gather today to address matters of unprecedented cosmic significance. The awakening of the primordial dragon emperor. Within a human vessel, the emergence of dimensional instabilities, and the potential return of Abaddon the Destroyer. Murmurs rippled through the crowd at the mention of Abaddon. Clearly, not all present had been fully briefed on this aspect of the situation. Before we proceed with formal discussions, I present to you Naruto Uzumaki, vessel of the primordial dragon emperor, currently in his third awakening. With him stand Akeno Himejima of the Gremory peerage and Grayfia Lucifuge, representing the ancient bonds between dragonkind and devilkind. All eyes turned to Naruto, who met their gazes steadily. He could sense the variety of reactions, curiosity, fear, calculation, hostility, awe, washing over him like waves. I invite the vessel to address the assembly before we begin, Surzex concluded, gesturing for Naruto to speak. Naruto stepped forward, taking a moment to gather his thoughts. He'd never been one for formal speeches, but the third awakening had brought with it a clarity of perception that helped him read the room with unprecedented accuracy. I stand before you as someone caught between worlds, he began, his voice strong and clear. A ninja from another dimension, suddenly thrust into the role of vessel for one of the most ancient powers in existence. I didn't ask for this responsibility, but I won't run from it either. He paused, letting his gaze sweep across the assembly. Some of you see me as a threat. Others as an opportunity. A few of you probably think I'm just a temporary anomaly that will soon be gone. Naruto smiled slightly. You're all partially right. The power awakening within me could be dangerous if misused. It does present opportunities for positive change. And yes, I hope to eventually find a way back to my own world. He allowed a hint of the Dragon Emperor's power to manifest, golden light shimmering around him momentarily. But let me be clear about one thing, I won't be used as a weapon or a tool in anyone's political games. I'm here to understand what's happening to me and to address the threat of Abaddon, a threat that affects all our worlds, not just yours. Naruto gestured toward the Spectral Six. 3 days ago, these cosmic entities tried to destroy me. Now we're cautious allies. Not because I defeated them, I didn't, but because we recognized a shared purpose beyond our differences. That's the approach I'm offering to everyone here today. Work with me, not against me, and maybe we all get what we want, stability, safety, and a future without Abaddon tearing reality apart. He stepped back, having said his piece without the flowery language or political doublespeak that seemed to dominate supernatural diplomacy. The silence that followed was broken by Azazel's amused chuckle. Direct and to the point. Refreshing. The beautiful woman with 12 white wings rose gracefully. Michael, leader of the Angel faction. We appreciate your candor, Naruto Uzumaki. The heavenly host has concerns, naturally, but we recognize the greater threat Abaddon represents. Heaven offers its support in containing the dimensional instabilities and researching countermeasures. Yasaka of the Kyoto Yukai, announced a stunning woman with fox ears and 9 golden tails. The Yukai remember the Dragon Emperor's benevolence toward spiritual creatures in ancient times. We stand ready to assist, particularly with dimensional anchoring, which our shrine maidens specialize in. One by one, faction representatives stood to offer varying degrees of support, though often with conditions or caveats attached. Some, like the Norse god Odin, were bluntly practical. "The boy's got power and seems to have a good head on his shoulders," the one-eyed god declared. "Better to have him on our side than against us. Asgard will contribute knowledge from our archives and warriors if needed." Others were more cautious, offering limited assistance while clearly reserving judgment. A few, particularly from the Old Satan faction and certain xenophobic Yukai groups, expressed outright opposition to any alliance centered around a dimensional interloper. Through it all, Naruto maintained his composure, taking mental notes on who seemed genuinely supportive versus those with obvious hidden agendas. The Third Awakening's enhanced perception let him detect subtle energetic reactions that betrayed emotions their owners thought well concealed. Finally, Nyarla rose to speak for the Spectral Six. "We have opposed the Dragon Emperor's return for eons," the mercury-faced entity stated, voice resonating strangely. "Our resistance was based on cosmic calculations indicating catastrophic probability matrices should the Emperor fully manifest while Abaddon stirred in the void between dimensions." Nyarla's fluid features shifted, forming something resembling a contemplative expression. "Recent events have caused us to recalculate. The vessel's approach to integration differs fundamentally from our projections. The human consciousness remains dominant rather than subsumed, creating a hybrid awareness that may, emphasis on may, represent a stable configuration capable of addressing Abaddon without triggering dimensional collapse." The entity gestured toward Naruto. "Therefore, the Spectral Six offer conditional alliance. We will share our knowledge of cosmic forces and assist in stabilizing dimensional boundaries. In return, we require transparency regarding the awakening process and input on major decisions affecting dimensional stability." Naruto nodded his agreement, recognizing the significance of this public commitment from beings that had tried to destroy him mere days ago. The meeting continued for hours, delving into technical discussions about dimensional mechanics, resource allocations, and the establishment of a multi-faction task force dedicated to monitoring and addressing the Abaddon threat. Throughout, Naruto contributed where he could, but primarily relied on Akeno and Grayfia to navigate the complex political currents. By the time the assembly adjourned, provisional agreements had been reached. Most factions had pledged some form of support, research teams had been organized, and defense protocols established. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. "You did well," Surzex commented as the attendees began filing out. Many came expecting to find either a puppet or a tyrant. "You surprised them." "Good," Naruto replied, rolling his shoulders to release tension. "Though I could have done without the 5-hour politics marathon." "A necessary evil," Grayfia said, materializing beside them with efficiency that still sometimes startled Naruto. "The foundations laid today will prove vital in the coming weeks." "Speaking of which," Azazel interjected, joining their conversation, "our research team has identified 3 major dimensional weak points that require immediate attention. One in Kuo, one in the underworld, and one in Asgard territory. The confluence of ley lines in those locations makes them particularly vulnerable," Grayfia elaborated. "We need to establish stabilization arrays at each site before the barriers thin further." "I take it I'm needed for this?" Naruto asked. "Your energy signature is uniquely suited to dimensional reinforcement," Azazel confirmed. "The Dragon Emperor essentially created the boundaries between dimensions initially. That same power, properly applied, can strengthen them now. We should begin with the Kuo site," Akeno suggested, joining them after speaking briefly with Rias. "It's in familiar territory and allows us to establish a working protocol before attempting the more complex locations." "Agreed," Surzex nodded. "Assemble a team, small but capable. We don't want to draw unnecessary attention." "About that," Naruto said, recalling his earlier encounter. "Rizavim Levon Lucifer approached me before the meeting. Wanted to have a private discussion, offered information about the Dragon Emperor supposedly not in your archives." Surzex and Grayfia exchanged significant looks. Rise of him rarely offers anything without expecting significant return, Surzek said carefully. What exactly did he propose? Just a conversation, Naruto shrugged. Though he did try to give me some kind of memory crystal as a token of good faith. Grayfia's expression darkened. The crystal is currently being examined by our security team. Preliminary analysis indicates complex enchantments beyond the stated purpose. In other words, it wasn't just a harmless gift, Akeno translated. Precisely, Grayfia confirmed. The full nature of the enchantments remains unclear, but they appear designed to interact with draconic energy specifically. Rizavim's sudden interest in you is concerning, Surzek mused. The Lucifer bloodline has traditionally maintained distance from Dragon Emperor matters, considering them outside their purview. Well, he can keep waiting for that private chat, Naruto decided. We've got dimensional weak points to fix and my training to continue. Speaking of which. He turned to Grayfia. You mentioned something about Lucifuge research. Anything useful come up? Something flickered in Grayfia's expression, a mixture of excitement and uncertainty unusual for the composed maid. Yes, she said after a brief hesitation. I've discovered records in the family archives that may explain the unusual resonance between your energy and my bloodline. If you're amenable, I would like to discuss the findings privately before we depart for Kuo. Sure, Naruto agreed easily. Sounds important. Very well. The rest of us will make preparations for tomorrow's operation, Surzek said. Azazel, coordinate with the research teams. Akeno, please brief Rias and her peerage on their roles. As the others departed to their various tasks, Naruto followed Grayfia through a series of corridors to a private study. The room was elegantly appointed but functional, with bookshelves lining the walls and a large desk covered in ancient scrolls and texts. Sorry about the disarray, Grayfia said, uncharacteristically self-conscious. I've been researching extensively since the incident with the six. No problem, Naruto replied, genuinely impressed by the volume of material she'd apparently covered in just a few days. So what did you find? Grayfia carefully selected several documents from the organized chaos on the desk. The Lucifuge family history taught to each generation speaks of our ancestors serving as intermediaries between dragonkind and other beings, particularly during the formation of Devil Society. What it doesn't explain is the nature of that connection. She unfolded an ancient parchment covered in symbols Naruto couldn't recognize, yet somehow understood intuitively, thanks to the Third Awakening's knowledge integration. This ritual text dates from before the Great War. It describes not service but partnership between the Dragon Emperor and the first Lucifuge. Grayfia's silver eyes met his. A blood bond, willingly given by both parties. A blood bond? Naruto questioned, trying to understand the significance. In supernatural terms, one of the most profound connections possible, Grayfia explained. Not servitude or ownership, but a melding of essence that transcends generations. The Lucifuge bloodline carries traces of the Dragon Emperor's power, not enough to manifest draconic abilities, but sufficient to create a permanent resonance. She touched the parchment reverently. According to these records, when Seraphina Lucifuge first approached the Dragon Emperor, she offered not worship but challenge, a human perspective to balance cosmic awareness. In return for this invaluable counterpoint, the Dragon Emperor shared a fraction of its power, creating a bloodline that could withstand its presence without being consumed by it. That explains why you reacted so strongly when we first met, Naruto realized. And why you're able to help with the awakening process when others can't. Yes, Grayfia nodded. But there's more. She hesitated, uncharacteristically uncertain. The blood bond wasn't merely pragmatic. The records speak of genuine affection between the Dragon Emperor and Seraphina, a connection that transcended the vast differences in their nature and power. Naruto blinked, surprised. You mean they were, together? Romantically? The texts are not explicit in modern terms, Grayfia said carefully. But they describe a profound emotional attachment that continued throughout Serafina's lifetime and influenced the Dragon Emperor's interactions with humanity for generations afterward. She turned away slightly, organizing papers that didn't need organizing. This explains why the Lucifuge family has always felt a duty that goes beyond mere obligation. The bond isn't simply magical or political, it's personal. Naruto absorbed this revelation, suddenly understanding Grayfia's occasional lapses in her perfect composure around him, the subtle shifts in her typically formal demeanor. "So when you're around me, you feel, what, exactly?" he asked quietly. Grayfia met his gaze directly, her silver eyes intense. "A connection that should be impossible given our brief acquaintance. A familiarity that defies rational explanation. And a compulsion to protect and support that goes beyond duty." "Must be weird," Naruto said with characteristic bluntness. "I mean, you're married to Surzex, right? And now you've got this ancient magical bloodline telling you to feel things for someone else." The faintest pink touched Grayfia's pale cheeks, an unprecedented display of emotion. "My relationship with Surzex-sama is complex," she admitted. "We are bound by devil tradition and mutual respect, but our union was as much political as personal." "That doesn't really answer my question," Naruto pointed out gently. "No," Grayfia acknowledged. "Because I don't have a complete answer myself. The blood bond creates a predisposition, not a compulsion. My feelings remain my own, however influenced they might be by ancient connections." She straightened, visibly gathering her composure. "I share this information because it affects your awakening process and explains certain aspects of our working relationship. Nothing more need be inferred or acted upon." Naruto studied her for a moment, seeing beyond the perfect made exterior to the complex woman beneath, someone navigating duty, tradition, unexpected emotions, and cosmic responsibility simultaneously. "I appreciate your honesty," he said finally. "And I respect whatever boundaries you need to maintain. Just know that regardless of ancient blood bonds or Dragon Emperor history, I value you as Grayfia, the person who's helped me through this crazy situation from day one." Something softened in Grayfia's expression, not dramatic, but noticeable to Naruto's enhanced perception. "Thank you," she said simply. "That means more than you might realize." Before the conversation could continue, a gentle knock interrupted them. The door opened to reveal Akeno, who took in the scene with perceptive eyes. "Sorry to interrupt," she said, though her tone suggested she wasn't entirely sorry. "Azazel's finished the preliminary analysis of the Kuo-dimensional weak point. He wants to review the findings with both of you before tomorrow's mission." "Of course," Grayfia replied, her professional demeanor sliding seamlessly back into place. "We'll join you shortly." Akeno nodded, but lingered in the doorway. "Did I miss anything important?" The question seemed casual, but Naruto detected an undercurrent of genuine curiosity, perhaps even concern. "Just some interesting Lucifuge family history," Naruto replied honestly. "Apparently there's more to Grayfia's connection to the Dragon Emperor than we thought." "How fascinating," Akeno said, her eyes moving between them. "You'll have to tell me all about it later." After she departed, Grayfia began gathering the most relevant documents. "We should join the others. Tomorrow's task will require careful preparation." "Right," Naruto agreed, helping her organize the materials. "Just one more question before we go." "Yes." "This blood bond thing, does it have any practical applications? Like, can we use it somehow in strengthening the dimensional barriers or dealing with Abaddon?" Grayfia looked slightly surprised by the practical direction of his question. "Potentially, yes. The ritual texts describe methods by which a Lucifuge can amplify and focus the Dragon Emperor's dimensional manipulation abilities. With proper preparation, we might adapt these techniques to the current situation." "Good," Naruto nodded decisively. "Let's explore that angle. Any advantage we can get against Abaddon, we take." "Agreed," Grayfia said, a small smile briefly touching her lips. "Your pragmatic approach continues to surprise me." Hey, I was Hokage material back home, Naruto grinned. I know how to focus on the important stuff. The next morning found Naruto, Akeno, Grayfia, and a small team of specialists at an abandoned shrine deep in the forest surrounding Kuo. The structure appeared ordinary to human perception, but Naruto's enhanced senses revealed the truth. This was a dimensional nexus point where the barriers between worlds had worn dangerously thin. The weakness manifests in a roughly 30-meter radius, Azazel explained, consulting a complex magical device that displayed energy patterns in the air. The barrier is approximately 40% degraded compared to optimal integrity. I can see it, Naruto said, his eyes perceiving the subtle distortions in reality. It's like fabric with threads coming loose. An apt description, Grayfia agreed, setting up ritual components around the shrine's perimeter. The dimensional barriers are indeed woven structures, created by the Dragon Emperor at the dawn of separated realities. Which means you should have an instinctive understanding of how to repair them, Azazel added. At least theoretically. Naruto approached the center of the nexus point, feeling the unstable energies wash over him. Within his mind, the Dragon Emperor's consciousness stirred, providing wordless impressions rather than direct communication, sensations of weaving, binding, reinforcing. I think I get it, he said slowly. It's not about raw power, but precision. Like, stitching reality back together one thread at a time. That aligns with our research, confirmed a devil woman Naruto recognized as Sona Citri, who had joined the team as a magical theorist. The degradation occurs at the quantum level, requiring micro-adjustments rather than broad reinforcement. Which is where we come in, Akeno said, gesturing to herself, Grayfia, and the other specialists. We'll create a stabilization matrix around you, channeling and focusing your power where it's needed most. As the team completed their preparations, Naruto took a moment to center himself. The third awakening had brought not just enhanced perception but deeper connection to his draconic nature. He could feel the golden energy humming beneath his skin, eager for release yet responsive to his control in ways it hadn't been before. Be careful, kid, Kurama warned. This dimensional stuff is even beyond my understanding. One mistake could tear the hole wider instead of fixing it. Thanks for the vote of confidence, Naruto replied mentally, though he appreciated the fox's concern. We're ready to begin, Grayfia announced, taking position at the northern point of the array they'd established. Akeno stood at the eastern point, with Sona and a Yukai priestess at the remaining positions. Naruto moved to the center, directly above the weakest point in the dimensional barrier. Following Grayfia's earlier instructions, he extended his senses not just outward but between, into the spaces that existed between conventional dimensions. What he perceived shocked him. The barrier wasn't simply thin here, it was actively being eroded from the other side. Something was deliberately weakening the dimensional walls. Guys? Naruto called out. We've got a problem. This damage isn't natural. Azazel's head snapped up from his instruments. What do you mean? Something's been clawing at the barrier from the dimensional gap, Naruto explained, focusing his perception more intensely. Recently, too. The damage pattern is deliberate, not random degradation. Grayfia and Azazel exchanged alarmed glances. Abaddon? Akeno asked, lightning crackling instinctively around her fingers. I don't think so, Naruto replied, frowning. The energy signature feels different. Not void-like, but corrupted. Twisted. We should abort, Sona suggested. If something is actively attacking the barrier, no, Naruto interrupted. If we leave, whatever's doing this will just continue. We need to repair it now and strengthen it against further attacks. He's right, Azazel agreed reluctantly. But we'll need to modify the procedure. Instead of a simple repair, we'll need to incorporate warding elements. I can adjust the ritual, Grayfia stated, quickly making alterations to the array. Akeno, shift your focus to purification rather than simple stabilization. As they rapidly adapted their approach, Naruto continued monitoring the barrier, tracking the subtle energetic signatures on the other side. Something about them seemed vaguely familiar, though he couldn't place why. "Ready," Grayfia announced minutes later. "Naruto, we'll begin channeling energy to you. Focus on repairing the weakest points first, then establishing the ward structure Azazel is projecting." The ritual began, with each participant channeling their specific energies into the array. Akeno's lightning and holy power created a purifying field that cleared corrupted energy from the damaged areas. Grayfia's ice magic crystallized ambient dimensional particles into stable matrices that Naruto could work with. The others contributed specialized energies that complemented the overall structure. In the center, Naruto carefully gathered the Dragon Emperor's power, letting it flow through his chakra network before directing it with precision into the damaged barrier. The golden energy responded eagerly, recognizing its original purpose in maintaining dimensional stability. For several minutes, the process continued smoothly, the barrier gradually strengthening under their combined efforts. Then, without warning, something pushed back. Naruto felt it first, a surge of corrupt energy from the other side, directly opposing his repair work. The barrier bulged inward as if something was physically pressing against it. "Something's coming through," he shouted, instinctively channeling more power to the weakening point. The others responded immediately, intensifying their efforts, but the pressure continued building. In the space between dimensions, Naruto glimpsed movement, shadowy forms gathering, preparing for a concerted push. "We need more power," Azazel called, his instruments showing critical readings. Grayfia locked eyes with Naruto across the array. "The blood bond," she said urgently. "Use it now." Understanding her meaning, Naruto nodded. Grayfia abandoned her position, moving to stand directly behind him. She placed her hands on his shoulders, and instantly Naruto felt their energies synchronize in a way that transcended normal magical cooperation. The ancient connection between Lucifuge and Dragon Emperor activated, creating a perfect conduit for power. Naruto's golden energy flowed through Grayfia, gaining focus and precision before returning to him magnified. Together, they directed this enhanced power directly at the weakening barrier. For a moment, it seemed to work, the pressure eased, the shadowy forms receding. Then a new force joined the assault, striking from a completely different angle. The barrier began to tear despite their efforts. "They're adapting," Sona called out, struggling to maintain her position as dimensional energy whipped around them like a storm. Through the widening tear, Naruto caught glimpses of the attackers, humanoid figures wreathed in corrupt dragon energy. They wore armor-bearing sigils he didn't recognize, but their organized movements suggested military precision. "Rogue Dragon Faction," Azazel identified grimly. "Aligned with neither Ophis nor Great Red. But who's leading them?" As if in answer, a figure appeared at the forefront of the breach, a devil with silver hair and a familiar face, though now twisted with malicious glee rather than diplomatic smoothness. "Rise of him," Grayfia hissed, her grip on Naruto's shoulders tightening. Well, Rise of him called through the dimensional tear, his voice distorted but audible. "What a pleasant surprise. I was merely testing my new toy, and here you all are, saving me the trouble of finding you." He held up a glowing artifact that pulsed with corrupt dragon energy. Amazing what one can discover in ancient ruins when properly motivated. This little device was specifically designed to track and manipulate primordial dragon power, like a leash for the cosmic pet. "What do you want, Rise of him?" Azazel demanded, positioning himself protectively near the array. "Want? Such a limited perspective." Rise of him laughed. "I want everything the Dragon Emperor has to offer, the power to reshape reality, transcend dimensions, rewrite the cosmic order. And this clever little artifact is the key." He pointed the device directly at Naruto. It was meant to force the final awakening, allowing the user to assert control during the vulnerability of transition. "But finding you mid-ritual? Even better." The artifact flared with sickly light, sending tendrils of energy snaking through the dimensional tear toward Naruto. Where they touched the golden power he was channeling, corruption spread like poison in water. Don't let it touch you. Grayfia warned, shifting her position to intercept the tendrils with her own magic. Akeno immediately abandoned her station, launching into the air with her devil wings spread wide. Keep the ritual going, she called to Sona and the others. We'll handle Ryzavim. Lightning crashed from her fingertips, not her usual purple electricity but brilliant golden bolts infused with holy power. The attack slammed into the dimensional tear, temporarily disrupting the corrupt tendrils. Ryzavim merely smiled. The half-breed shows her fallen angel side at last. How touching. He gestured to his armored followers. Deal with the interference while I complete the extraction. The dragon-armored soldiers began pushing through the weakened barrier, weapons drawn. As the first emerged fully into their dimension, Akeno confronted them head-on, lightning and light spears manifesting simultaneously in an impressive display of her mixed heritage powers. Naruto, focus on the repair, she called over her shoulder. Don't let Ryzavim distract you. Easier said than done. The artifact Ryzavim wielded was actively corrupting Naruto's energy, making precise control nearly impossible. Worse, it seemed designed to specifically target the Dragon Emperor aspect of his power, attempting to force an accelerated awakening while siphoning the released energy. I can feel it pulling at me, Naruto gritted through clenched teeth. Trying to trigger the next awakening prematurely. Resist it, Grayfia urged, her own power flaring to counteract the corruption. Focus on our connection, use it as an anchor. Naruto concentrated on the point where their energies merged, using it as a stable reference amidst the chaotic forces buffeting his consciousness. Through their connection, he felt Grayfia's unwavering support, not just magical but emotional, a determination to protect that transcended duty. Meanwhile, Akeno had engaged the emerging dragon soldiers directly, proving why she was considered one of the strongest young devils of her generation. Her fighting style combined devastating magical attacks with surprisingly effective hand-to-hand combat when enemies got too close. Most impressively, she was fully embracing both sides of her power heritage, switching seamlessly between Devil Lightning and Fallen Angel Light abilities. Your control has improved, one of the soldiers taunted, suggesting prior acquaintance. Still holding back the monster inside, Barakiel's daughter. Not anymore, Akeno replied coldly, before unleashing a combination attack that overloaded the soldier's magical defenses and sent him crashing back through the dimensional tear. Despite their efforts, more soldiers continued pushing through, forcing Azazel to join the defense. The fallen angel leader fought with experienced precision, his knowledge of dragon weaknesses proving invaluable against the armored attackers. In the center of it all, Naruto struggled against Ryzavim's artifact, which pulled relentlessly at the Dragon Emperor's power within him. The corrupting energy was attempting to force a connection directly to the dormant aspects of his draconic nature, bypassing the natural integration process. Kid, this is bad, Kurama warned. That thing is messing with our chakra synchronization. If it forces the next awakening without proper integration, you could lose control of both our energies. I know, Naruto acknowledged, fighting to maintain focus. But if I stop channeling power completely, the barrier will collapse and they'll all come through. Through their connection, Grayfia sensed his dilemma. There may be a third option, she said. The Lucifuge text spoke of a protective measure, a temporary separation of aspects when the Dragon Emperor was under external influence. Separation? You mean split myself from the dragon power? Not completely, Grayfia clarified. More like, compartmentalization. It would allow you to continue repairing the barrier with your own chakra while temporarily shielding the Dragon Emperor's consciousness from Ryzavim's artifact. Would that even work? Naruto asked, doubtful. In theory. The blood bond provides the necessary framework, but... She hesitated. It requires complete synchronization between us. A level of connection we haven't established yet. Naruto understood her meaning, this would deepen whatever was already developing between them, potentially crossing boundaries neither had explicitly addressed. If it's our best shot, I'm in, he decided. Tell me what to do. Grayfia nodded once, resolute. Open your chakra network fully to me. I'll guide the separation process through our connection. As battle raged around them, Naruto followed her instructions, dropping his natural shields and allowing Grayfia's energy to flow freely through his chakra pathways. The sensation was intimate in a way that transcended physical contact, a melding of essence that revealed each to the other without pretense or barrier. Through this deepened connection, Naruto glimpsed fragments of Grayfia's true self, her unwavering sense of duty, yes, but also deep loneliness, carefully contained passion, and a yearning for purpose beyond service. In turn, he knew she was experiencing his core traits, his determination, compassion, and the profound loneliness that had shaped his early years. Now, Grayfia whispered, her voice carrying directly to his consciousness. Visualize the Dragon Emperor's power as distinct from your own, acknowledge it without rejecting it. Following her guidance, Naruto mentally separated the golden draconic energy from his blue chakra and Kurama's orange power. Rather than forcing them apart, he simply recognized their distinct natures while maintaining his connection to both. Perfect, Grayfia confirmed. Now I'll establish a temporary barrier between the Dragon Emperor aspect and Rysavum's influence. Her energy flowed through their connection, creating a crystalline structure within Naruto's mindscape that surrounded the draconic consciousness without isolating it completely. The effect was immediate, Rysavum's pulling sensation diminished dramatically, though the corrupt tendrils still sought purchase. It's working! Naruto exclaimed, feeling control return. With the Dragon Emperor's consciousness protected, he could channel his own and Kurama's chakra more effectively to repair the dimensional barrier. Impossible! Rysavum's voice carried through the tear, anger replacing his previous confidence. No human vessel should be able to compartmentalize the awakening process. He's not doing it alone, Azazel called back, blasting another dragon soldier away from the array. The Lucifuge connection shields him from your toy. Rysavum's expression darkened. Then I'll simply have to remove that particular obstacle. He raised the artifact, redirecting its energy toward Grayfia. Naruto felt the attack through their connection, corrupt dragon energy seeking to sever the Lucifuge blood bond by force. Grayfia gasped in pain but maintained her position, her own magic fighting against the invasive power. Leave her alone! Naruto shouted, protective rage surging through him. That rage, combined with the threat to someone he'd grown to care for deeply, triggered something unexpected. Within the protective barrier Grayfia had established, the Dragon Emperor's consciousness resonated with Naruto's emotions. Power surged despite the compartmentalization, responding to his desire to protect rather than Rysavum's attempt to corrupt. Golden light erupted from Naruto's body, coalescing into a partial manifestation of draconic form, ethereal wings spread behind him, golden scales covering his arms completely, and his eyes transforming to vertical pupil dragon eyes that blazed with inner light. What? Rysavum faltered, his artifact flickering as it failed to capture this voluntary power surge. With a roar that contained harmonics no human throat should produce, Naruto directed a concentrated blast of dragon energy directly at the dimensional tear where Rysavum stood. The power flowed through the same corrupt tendrils the devil had established, following them back to their source. Rysavum screamed as the purified dragon energy struck him and his artifact simultaneously. The device cracked, releasing a backlash of wild energy that forced the devil to drop it and retreat further into the dimensional gap. Fall back, he commanded his soldiers. The awakening is progressing differently than predicted. We need to recalibrate. As the dragon soldiers withdrew, Naruto seized the opportunity. With Grayfia still channeling through their connection and the others maintaining the ritual array, he gathered his remaining energy and focused it on repairing the dimensional tear. The golden power responded eagerly, weaving reality back together with precision born of instinctive knowledge. Where the barrier had been merely thin before, it now strengthened beyond its previous integrity, reinforced with additional protective layers that would resist future tampering. As the tear sealed completely, Naruto felt the strain of his exertions catch up with him. The draconic manifestation receded, scales retracting to their normal patterns, wings dissipating into golden particles. Only his eyes remained changed, draconic pupils contracting in the sudden absence of dimensional light. "We did it," he breathed, turning to check on Grayfia. The silver-haired devil looked exhausted but unharmed, their connection having protected her from the worst of Ryzovim's attack. Their eyes met, and something unspoken passed between them, acknowledgement of a bond deepened beyond what either had anticipated. "That was incredible," Azazel said, approaching with uncharacteristic reverence. "You channeled aspect manifestation without triggering full awakening. That should be theoretically impossible." Apparently no one told Naruto that, Akeno commented, landing gracefully nearby. Her battle outfit was torn in places, and minor injuries marked her exposed skin, but her eyes shone with exhilarated victory. "Are you alright?" Naruto asked, noticing her injuries with concern. "Never better," she replied with a genuine smile. "It feels good to finally fight without holding back." She flexed her fingers, small sparks of holy lightning dancing between them. "Both sides of my power, working together for once." "The barrier is stable," Sona reported, examining the repaired dimensional boundary with magical instruments. "In fact, it's stronger than our baseline readings from before the degradation began." "Whatever you did, Naruto, it didn't just fix the problem, it improved the original structure." "Instinctive knowledge," Grayfia explained, her professional demeanor returning though she remained close to Naruto. "The Dragon Emperor created these boundaries initially. That knowledge exists within Naruto, even if he can't consciously access all of it yet." "Speaking of which," Azazel said, studying Naruto with scientific interest, "that partial manifestation was fascinating. Not a premature fourth awakening, but something different, a controlled expression of draconic form without full consciousness integration." "It just happened," Naruto said, struggling to explain. "When Ryzovim attacked Grayfia, I got angry, and the power responded to that emotion rather than his artifact. Emotional resonance triggering selective aspect manifestation," Azazel mused. "Incredible. This could revolutionize our understanding of the awakening process." "It also confirms Ryzovim's intentions," Grayfia added grimly. "He seeks to force and control the awakening process for his own ends. With an artifact specifically designed for that purpose," Akeno pointed out. "Where would he even obtain such a thing?" "There are rumors of ancient dragon-binding tools created during the original war between the biblical god and the dragon kings," Azazel said. "Most were thought destroyed or sealed away, but clearly some survived. And Ryzovim found one," Naruto concluded. "Great. As if we didn't have enough problems with Abaddon potentially returning." "The two may be connected," Grayfia suggested. Ryzovim's tampering with dimensional boundaries could be accelerating the weakening process, inadvertently hastening Abaddon's return. "Or deliberately," Azazel added darkly. "Ryzovim has always had a nihilistic streak. He might view Abaddon's return as an opportunity rather than a threat." Naruto sighed, feeling the weight of compounding challenges. "So now we have to strengthen dimensional boundaries, continue my awakening process safely, and deal with a power-hungry devil with an anti-dragon artifact. Anything else we want to add to the list?" As if in direct response to his sarcastic question, a new dimensional ripple manifested several meters away from their position. Unlike the tier Ryzovim had created, this disturbance had a natural, controlled quality to it, as if something was carefully parting the dimensional curtain rather than tearing it. Everyone tensed, preparing for another potential threat. Akeno summoned fresh lightning, while Grayfia's ice magic crystallized the air around them. Azazel produced a glowing spear of light, and Sona prepared a complex water-based defensive array. Naruto, despite his fatigue, reached again for the Dragon Emperor's power, golden energy gathering around his hands. But as the dimensional ripple stabilized into a small portal, he hesitated, sensing something familiar about the energy signature. "Wait," he said, raising a hand to halt the other's attacks. I know that chakra." Through the portal stepped a figure Naruto had never expected to see again, tall, dark-haired, with mismatched eyes and an expression of typical Uchiha aloofness. Sasuke. Naruto gasped, momentarily forgetting the others around him. The last Uchiha surveyed the scene with his Rinnegan and Sharingan, taking in the various supernatural beings with analytical calm before focusing on Naruto. "There you are, Dobe," he said with characteristic understatement. "You're harder to find than I expected. What the hell happened to your eyes? And why do you look like you're covered in golden tattoos?" Naruto laughed despite the situation, relief and joy bubbling up at seeing someone from home. "Long story. Really long story. How did you even find me?" "Your chakra signature disappeared from our world, but left traces indicating dimensional displacement," Sasuke explained. "I've been tracking those traces through different realities using the Rinnegan's abilities." His gaze sharpened as he noticed the golden scales on Naruto's skin. "You've changed. Your chakra is different. Mixed with something ancient." "Yeah, about that." Naruto began, wondering how to explain the whole Primordial Dragon Emperor reincarnation situation to his friend and rival. Before he could continue, Sasuke's attention shifted to the others present, his hand moving instinctively to his sword. "Are these allies or hostiles?" "Allies," Naruto confirmed quickly. "Very powerful allies who've been helping me deal with some cosmic complications." Akeno stepped forward, curiosity overcoming caution. "You're from Naruto's world? Another ninja?" Sasuke regarded her with typical reserved assessment. "Uchiha Sasuke. And you are?" "Akeno Himejima," she replied with a slight bow that managed to be both polite and subtly flirtatious. "Queen to Rias Gremory and assistant to the Primordial Dragon Emperor." Sasuke raised an eyebrow at this title, looking to Naruto for explanation. "Like I said, long story," Naruto sighed. "But why are you here? Is everyone okay back home? Did something happen after Kaguya?" "Everyone's fine," Sasuke assured him. "The war ended. Reconstruction is underway. But there are complications. Dimensional disturbances affecting the elemental nations. Tears in reality appearing in random locations. Kakashi sent me to investigate, and all signs pointed to you being somehow involved." Naruto exchanged concerned glances with Grayfia and Azazel. "The weakening is affecting my world too," he realized. "It's spreading faster than we thought. Perhaps your presence in this dimension has created a connection bridge between our worlds," Grayfia suggested. "Strengthening the bond while simultaneously highlighting the weaknesses." "Whatever the cause," Azazel interjected, "this confirms our fears about the scope of the problem. If dimensional weakening is affecting multiple realities simultaneously, Abaddon's influence may be extending further than we realized." Sasuke's eyes narrowed at the unfamiliar name. "Abaddon? Another Kaguya-level threat?" "Worse," Naruto said grimly. "Way worse. Abaddon is what Kaguya was afraid of, why she wanted to absorb all chakra and create her army in the first place. She was preparing for its return, even if she didn't fully understand what she was sensing." Understanding dawned in Sasuke's mismatched eyes. "The dimensional disturbances, the increasing chakra fluctuations, they're all connected to this Abaddon entity?" "And to me," Naruto added. "Turns out I'm the reincarnation of something called the Primordial Dragon Emperor, which is Abaddon's ancient counterpart and the creator of the dimensional boundaries in the first place." To Sasuke's credit, he absorbed this revelation with typical Uchiha composure, merely nodding as if Naruto had shared a mildly interesting training technique rather than cosmic-level revelations. "That explains the golden energy merging with your chakra," he said. "I can see it with the Rinnegan, layers of power far older than anything in our world." "We should continue this discussion somewhere more secure," Grayfia suggested, glancing at the recently repaired dimensional barrier. "Rizavim may return with reinforcements, and this location is compromised." "Agreed," Azazel said. "Sona, finalize the stabilization array. The rest of us will return to the Gremory estate to debrief and integrate this new development." As they prepared to depart, Sasuke moved closer to Naruto, speaking quietly. "You trust these people?" "I do," Naruto confirmed without hesitation. "They've helped me understand what's happening and protected me while I figure out these new powers." His gaze drifted briefly to Akeno and Grayfia, who were conferring nearby. "Especially those two. I wouldn't have made it this far without them." Sasuke followed his look, his perceptive eyes missing nothing. "I see," he said, a hint of amusement breaking through his usual stoicism. "Some things never change. You always did collect interesting people wherever you went." "Shut up, team," Naruto replied with no real heat, the familiar banter soothing after weeks in a strange world with stranger beings. Back at the Gremory estate, Naruto's unexpected connection to two worlds collided as Sasuke was introduced to the supernatural factions and briefed on the full situation. The last Uchiha took in the existence of angels, devils, and other mythological beings with remarkable equanimity, treating it as simply another layer of reality to understand and navigate. "Your Rinnegan's dimensional abilities could prove invaluable," Azazel commented after hearing Sasuke explain how he tracked Naruto across realities. "It operates on principles similar to but distinct from our transportation magic. Because it evolved in a different dimensional framework," Surzex theorized. "The chakra in your world developed along pathways influenced by the Dragon Emperor's original seeding, but shaped by your world's specific conditions. Speaking of which," Sasuke turned to Naruto, "Kakashi asked me to determine whether you can return home. The village misses you." The admission seemed to cost him some effort, showing just how concerned their friends truly were. Naruto felt a pang of homesickness at the thought of Konoha, Kakashi, Sakura, Iruka, and all the others who had become his family. Yet he also knew the situation had grown far beyond his personal desires. "I want to come back," he said honestly. "But there's more at stake now. If Abaddon returns and destroys the dimensional boundaries, all worlds are at risk, including ours. Then we face it together," Sasuke said with typical directness. "Your dragon power, my Rinnegan. Just like against Kaguya." "It's not that simple," Grayfia interjected gently. "The awakening process cannot be rushed without dangerous consequences. As we saw today with Rizabem's attempt, forcing progression could destabilize both Naruto and the cosmic balance." "Then I stay until it's complete," Sasuke decided, surprising everyone. "I can maintain a connection to our world through periodic returns, keeping Kakashi informed while assisting here." "That could work," Surzex acknowledged. "Having a direct link to Naruto's original dimension provides strategic advantages we didn't previously have. And Sasuke's visual prowess might help us detect dimensional weaknesses more efficiently," Akeno added thoughtfully. As the discussion continued, developing into plans for incorporating Sasuke into their ongoing efforts, Naruto found himself drawn into a quiet corner by Akeno. "So that's the famous Sasuke," she said, studying the Uchiha across the room. "Your rival and best friend. He's exactly as I imagined from your stories." "Yeah, he hasn't changed much," Naruto agreed. "Still acts like he's got a stick up his." "I noticed something interesting when he arrived," Akeno interrupted, her tone casual but her eyes sharp. "Your emotional response. Relief, joy, nostalgia. But no romantic undertones. Many of the girls back in your village had crushes on him, if I recall your stories correctly." Naruto laughed. "Yeah, including Sakura for the longest time. But that was never my thing. Sasuke's like a brother to me, an annoying, arrogant, occasionally homicidal brother." "I see," Akeno said, something relaxing in her expression. "Just clarifying." Before Naruto could question her interest, Grayfia approached them, her composure perfect as always though fatigue showed in the faint shadows beneath her eyes. "Surzex requires our presence in the strategy session," she informed them. "Rizabem's attack changes our priorities, particularly regarding your security, Naruto." "I'm not hiding away while others fight," Naruto stated firmly. "No one is suggesting that," Grayfia assured him. But we need to establish protective measures against the specific threat his artifact poses. The blood bond shielded you today, but we cannot rely on that same defense if he refines his approach. What do you suggest? Akeno asked. Accelerated but controlled progression through the remaining awakenings, Grayfia replied. Not forced, but prepared for. If Naruto completes each integration naturally before Rise of him can interfere, the artifact's effectiveness would be significantly reduced. So basically, intense training to master each level before moving to the next, Naruto summarized. Precisely. I've already discussed preliminary approaches with Azazel. With your friend Sasuke's assistance, we can incorporate elements from your native chakra techniques to create a hybrid training regimen. As they rejoined the main group, Naruto found himself at the center of increasingly complex strategic discussions. Sasuke provided detailed information about the dimensional disturbances affecting the elemental nations, which Azazel and the research team correlated with their existing data on barrier weakening in the DxD world. The pattern is clear, Surzex concluded, examining the combined information. The dimensional boundaries are thinning simultaneously across multiple realities, with particular weakness at points where Naruto's energy signature has been strongest. Meaning wherever I've been, the barriers get weaker? Naruto asked with concern. Not exactly, Azazel clarified. Rather, your presence highlights existing weaknesses. The Dragon Emperor's power resonates with the dimensional boundaries it originally created, making flaws more apparent, like shining light through a damaged fabric. Which could be useful, Sasuke pointed out pragmatically. If Naruto can detect these weaknesses, we can prioritize repairs systematically. A reasonable approach, Grayfia agreed. But we must also address the root cause. These weaknesses are not appearing randomly, they're being exacerbated by external pressure. Abaddon, Akeno said grimly. And potentially Rise of him, whether knowingly or not, Surzex added. His tampering with dragon energy and dimensional barriers may be creating openings for Abaddon's influence to seep through. The meeting continued late into the night, developing plans for dimensional monitoring, barrier reinforcement, and Naruto's continued awakening process. Throughout, Naruto found himself increasingly aware of the complex dynamics developing between himself, Akeno, and Grayfia. Akeno remained close, offering insights from her mixed heritage perspective and occasional touches that lingered just long enough to suggest deeper interest. Her newfound comfort with both sides of her power seemed to have unlocked a more confident, direct aspect of her personality that Naruto found increasingly attractive. Grayfia maintained her professional demeanor, but the connection established during the blood bond activation had changed something between them. Small glances, brief moments where their energies resonated in shared awareness, and an unspoken understanding that transcended normal interaction. By the time the meeting concluded, exhaustion had set in for most participants. Arrangements were made for Sasuke's accommodation, and the group dispersed to rest before implementing their plans the following day. Naruto found himself walking the grounds of the Gremory estate, too wired to sleep despite physical fatigue. The events of the day, Rise of him's attack, the partial manifestation of his draconic form, Sasuke's unexpected arrival, swirled in his mind alongside larger concerns about Abaddon and the awakening process. Trouble sleeping, came Akeno's voice from behind him. He turned to find her approaching along the garden path, still dressed in her day clothes though she'd removed the more formal elements. Too much to process, Naruto admitted as she fell into step beside him. I can imagine. Having your friend appear from your home world must be both comforting and complicated. Naruto nodded. It's good to know everyone's okay, but also a reminder of what I'm missing. And now with Sasuke here, it makes everything more real, somehow. Like my two lives are colliding. They walked in comfortable silence for a moment before Akeno spoke again. Earlier today, when Rise of him attacked Grayfia, your reaction was interesting. Naruto glanced at her, trying to read her expression in the moonlight. What do you mean? The power surge, the partial draconic manifestation, it came from a place of protection. Of caring. She paused. The bond between you and Grayfia is growing stronger. There was a question in her statement, though Naruto wasn't entirely sure what she was asking. The blood bond makes things complicated, he acknowledged carefully. But yes, I care about her. Just like I care about you. Akeno stopped walking, turning to face him directly. Care about me how, exactly? The directness of her question caught him off guard. Well, you've been there for me since I arrived. You've helped me train, explained this world to me, fought beside me. That's what I've done, Akeno said quietly. Not how you feel. Naruto rubbed the back of his neck, uncharacteristically uncertain. Navigating these kinds of conversations had never been his strong suit, and the complexities of his current situation made it even more challenging. I feel connected to you, he finally said. In a way that's different from anyone else I've known. You understand what it's like to have mixed powers, to struggle with acceptance. And when we fight together, it's like we just fit. Akeno's expression softened, a small smile touching her lips. That's a good start. Before Naruto could respond, she stepped closer, eliminating the space between them. With deliberate slowness, giving him every opportunity to pull away, she leaned in and kissed him. The contact was brief but electric, literally, as small sparks of Akeno's power danced between them where their lips met. Naruto found himself responding instinctively, his hand moving to her waist to steady them both. When they separated, Akeno's violet eyes held both satisfaction and challenge. In case my feelings weren't clear, she said with characteristic boldness. Crystal, Naruto replied, a little breathless. Though, this makes things even more complicated, doesn't it? Life is complicated, Akeno shrugged. Especially in our world. Devils don't view relationships the way humans do, exclusivity is a choice, not an expectation. Her perceptiveness caught him off guard once again. You mean? I mean that I've seen how you and Grayfia look at each other, Akeno said directly. The blood bond may have started it, but there's more than ancient magic connecting you two now. And I'm not the type to pretend otherwise. And that doesn't bother you? Naruto asked, genuinely confused by her apparent acceptance. Akeno laughed softly. Naruto, I was raised in devil society after losing my human family. I learned to take happiness where I find it and not begrudge others their own connections. Her expression grew more serious. What matters to me is honesty, not exclusivity. Honesty I can do, Naruto promised. I'm pretty terrible at hiding what I feel anyway. I've noticed, Akeno smiled, reaching up to trace the whisker marks on his cheek. It's part of your charm. Now come on, we both need rest before tomorrow's training session. Azazel has something special planned for you. As they walked back toward the main building, Akeno's hand found his, their fingers intertwining naturally. The contact was simple but meaningful, an acknowledgement of developing feelings without demands or expectations. Unknown to either of them, a silver-haired figure watched from a balcony above, her expression unreadable in the moonlight. Grayfia observed their closeness with complex emotions swirling beneath her composed exterior before turning away, duty and desire waging silent battle within her heart. The following weeks established new routines as their multifaceted plans unfolded. Mornings were dedicated to Naruto's training, with Azazel, Grayfia, and now Sasuke developing techniques to safely progress his awakening process. The Uchiha's understanding of chakra principles proved invaluable, helping Naruto integrate his ninja abilities with the emerging draconic powers. The Sharingan can perceive energy flow patterns invisible to normal sight, Sasuke explained during one session. Your dragon energy moves differently from chakra, more fluid, less constrained by physical pathways. Which explains why traditional chakra control exercises have limited effectiveness, Azazel concluded, monitoring the readings from his instruments. We need approaches that accommodate both energy types simultaneously. The Sage of Six Paths faced similar challenges when integrating natural energy with human and tailed beast chakra, Sasuke noted. Some of his techniques might be adaptable to this situation. With this insight, they developed hybrid training methods combining elements from both worlds, chakra control exercises modified to accommodate draconic energy, meditation techniques from the Lucifuge traditions enhanced with ninja mindfulness practices, and combat drills that encouraged seamless switching between different power sources. Afternoons typically involved dimensional monitoring and barrier reinforcement. Teams deployed to identified weak points, with Naruto using his growing sensitivity to direct repairs. Sasuke's Rinnegan provided additional perception capabilities, allowing them to detect problems earlier and address them more efficiently. During one such mission at a weak point in northern Europe, Naruto and Sasuke worked in tandem to seal a particularly troublesome dimensional tear that had begun leaking corrupt energy into a small village. The damage pattern is similar to the Kuo site, Naruto observed, golden energy flowing from his hands into the weakened barrier. Deliberate tampering rather than natural degradation. Rizavim's work. Akeno asked, hovering nearby, ready to channel purification energy if needed. Not this time, Sasuke replied, his Rinnegan spinning slowly as he analyzed the tear. The signature is different, colder, more void-like. Abaddon, Grayfia confirmed grimly, her ice magic crystallizing corrupt particles as they emerged. Its influence is becoming more direct. As they worked to repair the damage, Naruto felt a strange resonance from the tear, almost like it was responding specifically to his presence. The Dragon Emperor's consciousness stirred within him, pushing fragments of memory to the surface, ancient battlegrounds spanning multiple dimensions, confrontations with a darkness that consumed everything it touched, sacrifices made to establish boundaries that would contain the void. I think. Naruto said slowly, processing these memory fragments, I think Abaddon is becoming aware of me specifically. These tears aren't just random weakening, they're probes, testing for my location and strength. That aligns with the ancient texts, Grayfia agreed. The Dragon Emperor and Abaddon were counterparts, creation and destruction, form and void. One naturally senses the other's presence. Which means each time you repair a barrier, Sasuke concluded. You're essentially announcing yourself to Abaddon. A double-edged sword, Azazel commented from his monitoring position. We need Naruto's power for these repairs, but using it accelerates Abaddon's awareness. Then we need to be more strategic, Naruto decided. Focus on the most critical weaknesses and find ways to mask my energy signature during repairs. The Lucifuge blood bond might help with that, Grayfia suggested. If I filter your power through our connection, it may disguise its origin somewhat. And I could add purification elements, Akeno added. Overlay your dragon energy with holy power to obscure its distinctive signature. These adaptations proved effective, allowing them to continue necessary repairs while reducing the beacon effect of Naruto's power. However, the pace of dimensional weakening continued to accelerate, forcing them to prioritize increasingly critical locations. Evenings were devoted to research and strategy sessions, with representatives from various factions contributing knowledge and resources to their efforts. The Spectral Six proved particularly valuable allies, their cosmic perspective offering insights unavailable from conventional supernatural sources. Abaddon doesn't think as we do, Nyarla explained during one such session. It doesn't plot or plan, it simply is. It's something went wrong with this response, please try again. Continue by writing the next chapter. Create the following chapter. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.